Thank you.
Quiet in the room.
Thank you. Welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting of March 19th, 2025. The Wareham Conservation Commission will hold a meeting under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Town of Wareham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Division 6, and any other applicable laws. All hearings of the Wareham Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Town of Wareham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Division 6. Although a single decision of the Commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. All matters listed may involve a decision and possible vote. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Kwame
Joseph
Barty.
What?
Should looked at me
I
first.
looked at there.
Joseph Still.
No,
Joseph Still.
Michael Mercier, although Scott, you're gonna have, just kidding.
Sandy Slavin.
Autumn Wood.
Scott Sobey.
Kwame Barty.
Autumn. Sorry. Paula Jean, you need to say I'm here.
Paula Jean O'Neill.
Thank you. Because we are on Zoom, I will have to take a roll call for every vote. All right. I declare we have a quorum. You're up.
Notice of public hearing. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6, a public hearing will be held in Room 520, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, on Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, at 6 p.m. On the request for determination of applicability for Isabella Chung, 245 Richmond Street, East Taunton, Mass. 02718. Upgrade an existing failed septic system. Remove existing cesspool and install a new 1,500-gallon septic tank with a microfast 0.5 treatment unit and 36 infiltrator quick 4 plastic chambers in a leaching field configuration. Map 43, Lot 1054, 10 Knowles Avenue,
Before you open the hearing, I have to say something.
East Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I neglected to recognize our agents. Please identify yourselves,
Christine Santos.
Joshua Faraday.
and please stand and raise your right hands. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in all hearings in front of me this evening.
I do.
Thank you. Be seated. Now you may open the hearing. I neglected that.
I motion to open the hearing.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Up.
You have to take a roll call.
Joe?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Aye.
Paula Jean? Sandy? 1, 2, 3. 600. The hearing is open. Anybody here representing this project would like to come forward and talk to us on it? Anybody online?
This is 10 Knowles Ave. No?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Number 10 Knowles Ave.
I see nobody. I'm going to take a motion to table.
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion and a table. I have a second. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
We're way
I
out
will
of
try
line.
Joe. Michael. Autumn.
Aye.
Kwame.
Aye.
Autumn. Sandy. The hearing, we will table this.
Paula Jean O'Neill.
And Paula
And
Jean
I thought
also
I,
moved.
sorry, okay. We'll table and take it up
We'll
later.
get there. We'll get there.
All right, next one, please.
On the request for notice of intent for Jason Nguyen, 45 Amelia Court, Swansea, Massachusetts. Post facto approval of house expansion and proposed seasonal dock, map 129B-5, lot 19, 37 Pine Lake, East Wareham, Mass. I motion to open the hearing.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Joe?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Aye.
Paula Jean? Sandy? The
Aye.
hearing is open, 600. And who's here representing this project, please?
Brad Bertolo with JC Engineering.
Hey, Brad? I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this project at 37 Pine Lake Drive. Thank you very much. Talk to us about it.
Again, for the record, Brad Bertola with JC Engineering on behalf of the property owner. We're here before you to request permission for an after-the-fact approval for some recent improvements to the property at 37 Pine Lake Drive. The property owner did some remodeling on the property, including the removal of an existing 4-by-7-foot portion of the structure on the street side of the dwelling, a removal of a 3-by-8-foot deck in replacement with a 4-by-8 addition, and a remodel of an existing deck. The property itself is in close proximity to Spectacle Pond, and pretty much the entire property is within 100 feet of jurisdiction. One of the additions in the front is sized exactly the same as what was there before. The second addition on the front was about 1 foot deeper, 4 feet deep. That work is all greater than 30 feet from the inland bank of Spectacle Pond. At the same time, the owner was renovating the deck, and when we got involved, it looks like the decking was removed and started to be replaced. You could see the older joists of the deck, and you could see some sections that we highlighted on plan where he was adding an extension to that deck, approximately in the footprint of a former handicap ramp that was on the side of the house. All of that work, again, minus the deck replacement and replacing a set of steps, is within outside 30 feet. He also eliminated a number of trees. The stumps are still there. We believe there were 4 outside of the footprint of the deck. There may have been 2 in the deck. If you looked underneath, there was a stump underneath, which I didn't notice until later. I did see from some real estate pictures that were available online, because we weren't involved with this property until after it took place. But I'll just pass these around. So the trees along the back appeared to be mostly white pines. They were pretty tall. If you can see the locations of the stumps and see in the field, they were relatively close to the house. So to mitigate for the tree removal, we are proposing to install 4 deciduous trees in the back, and at the same time, we're proposing to install a vegetated buffer along the edge of the retaining wall that's right adjacent to the pond. We're going to propose a 3-foot strip and fill it up with a number of low bush blueberries, which will help provide some ground cover in that area, because right now it's pretty much just pine needles and void of any vegetation. At the same time as the work involved to address this enforcement order, we would like to permit a dock on this property, a dock that was previously there. The sections were stacked on the site, and the plan shows the location approximately from some aerial photography. I think 2008 roughly, I saw it laid out in the pond. That footprint was a little longer than the current bylaw, so we are proposing to utilize just a portion of those existing sections to allow the property owner to maintain a seasonal dock. And in accordance with the bylaw, we did identify a spot out closer to the shed by the street where the dock could be stored off-season outside of the 30-foot no-touch. We did stake it out. I think we had a point out in the pond as well to show the end of the dock. So if you have any questions on it, be happy to answer.
All right, I'll start. Joe?
What was the ratio of replication of those wetlands on the border of the water there? You're saying it's just a 3-foot strip?
We're adding some additional mitigation beyond just trees. So the first 3 feet closest to the resource area, which is, up above the, on upland area, we're proposing to add some mitigation plantings.
Okay, and it's the red maple.
Three, yes, the 4 trees that are highlighted, plus there's a strip that's about 3 feet wide that runs across the entire back of the lot, minus one area where the proposed dock is, so they could still access the water.
And the existing deck that was there before the work was done was already within the 30-foot?
Yes, I did a little work on that today to research. There is a building permit on record in 2003. It was signed off by the prior conservation agent. I could submit that copy if you want for your records. That was my initial thought. I didn't know when that was constructed, so.
Okay. Was it the same layout as the deck that's there now, the 12 by 26? Smaller.
It showed a 20-foot by 10-foot deck and a 4-foot side extension on the deck. So I couldn't tell if it was hand-drawn. I couldn't tell if it was a 24-foot long deck or a 20-foot deck. It makes sense that it was 24 feet if you added it up correctly. I also, before I even started looking into the real estate pictures, we had done some work back in 2005 on a site across from the pond, and just one of the pictures happened to glance over, and this was from June of 2005, so it basically mirrors the pictures from the real estate ad, which I don't know. It's the brown
Yeah.
building at the very top of the picture next to the pink house, and you could see the trees and the deck, and you can kind of see the railing, so it's been there for a good 20 years.
Okay. No further questions?
Michael?
Yes, you may have kind of dived into my question already, but I'm just going to go ahead regardless here. During the off-season, the deck is going to be basically broken down into 5 sections and stored on the property. Is that correct?
The dock, yes.
I'm sorry, the dock, I'm sorry. Now, was that depicted on the map or not? Because I didn't see it.
Yeah, we have it. Oh, where it's being stored?
Where's it's being stored on the
Yeah, we
property?
had like a little clouded area beside the shed.
So it's going to be stored, so it's going to be stored in the front?
Michael?
I see there, there's the road.
That's where they're planning to store.
Anticipated storage area for floor. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Kwame?
No questions. Why did it skip?
I will.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't want to.
No? Paula Jean?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I just had a question, thinking back with mitigation for the trees that were removed. I think Brad said there were 4 trees removed on the shoreline and 2 more in the footprint of the deck. And I'm recalling that we, with some of these projects, required more than 1-to-1, or like a 2-to-1 mitigation. And it looks like we're getting 4 trees replaced, deciduous trees replaced for the 6 trees removed. And someone mentioned the red maple, that I am curious what those 4 deciduous trees are going to be. But I have kind of nagging feeling that we should be looking at perhaps more tree replacement.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
Scott, your turn.
I guess I have a question first for the conservation agent. The design specifications for inland dock structures is specified in the town bylaws. Is that part of the standard order of conditions that any new structures would have to be in accordance with the bylaws?
Yeah, they'd have to meet those standards.
Okay. So we're talking about 30 feet, but we were talking about a 100-foot buffer, aren't we? So 30 feet is not supposed to do anything in the 30 feet. But the buffer is 100 feet, isn't it?
We can permit within the 100, and we've always said that 30-foot is a no-work zone.
Right, so we're talking about work in the no-work zone.
But the deck already existed,
Yes, I understand that.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, but it's expanded now. Right, the deck is larger now than it was before.
They added a section to the south of the dwelling in the location of where there was a ramp, but that's outside 30 foot.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that, Brad. And then you did talk about the trees haven't been taken down, the white pines. Just wanted to make sure that that was part of the enforcement order. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. If I take a look there, there are posts around the decks. Some are old and some are new. Do you think the older, darker ones were there with the original decking? And the new ones being put in more on the east side?
Yes, I think looking at the lumber that was existing, it appears that the footprint of the deck was where it was when they were working on this, minus the area where the ramp was, because you could see that there are a number of new joists beyond the end of what I was considering the original deck. And I also had, I believe the assessor's webpage on the field card showed a picture of what that side of the structure looked like, and there was a ramp, and I was comparing it with, I believe, a gas meter that was out there, so I could tell that there was a ramp on the property, and then, based on where our measurements were, it was, kind of in the same general vicinity of the existing footprint of.
So the newly expanded deck is really just over the site where the old ramp used to be?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you said there was a stump under the deck?
Yeah.
Could you two tell what type of tree it was? Because those deciduous keep on putting out shoots and could very well do a job on the deck.
I believe they're all white pines. I think you might be able to tell from those pictures that I was passing around.
Okay. Now, I was very unhappy to find the float sitting in the water.
That's why I have a note to remove it, so.
No. Now, is there any instructions here or plans on how to install the pier? Is it just going to lay on the ground, or is it going to be on something?
Yeah,
There's
so
nothing-
looking at the pieces, there are, I guess, brackets on the side that look like it was pipes, supported on pipes.
And the
that they-
pipes are not there now?
I didn't see them there, so I anticipated of proposing the same similar situation, and I do have that kind of note located on pipes. They're
How
supported
many
by
do you think
pipes.
you might need?
It was 5 sections, so I think 6 rows times 2 is 12 is what I had accounted for in the application, and assuming they set it on a plate, it's about 12 square feet total what I'm accounting for disturbance.
Now, more than likely, this will rest on the pond? Or will there be stop measures to prevent the...
Water doesn't move, so it's going to be elevated and fixed. It's a fixed location, but the feet will rest in the bottom of the pond, yes.
But the dock will go up and down as weights put on it?
No, because it's fixed to those.
Okay, so
Yeah, it
it's
doesn't,
attached to the pipes. The pipes are attached to the decking.
it's not a floating dock.
Yeah. You do see some elevation of the water change with the operations of the cranberry growers, but it's pretty insignificant in Spectacle Pond.
Now, is there any discussion about whether or not you want to plant right along the edge of the pond on the other side of the wall? There's a lot of little bushes and trees and stuff. Will they be cut?
On the pond side of the retaining wall?
Yes.
No, I'm staying out of that resource area.
Because I see nothing here that says it won't be touched. Well, it doesn't say it will be touched, and it doesn't say it won't be touched. Because I'm sure they're probably going to say,
Yeah, there's no plans to to remove any vegetation beyond, actually, no plans to remove any vegetation.
So the dock will go beyond the grasses that you can see growing on the pond. If I take a look at the pond, I can see where there is
Yeah.
vegetation in the water.
Yep, there is a fringe area of vegetation, and again, the pond does rise and lower during the season, so I just located the dock where it's, kind of on the edge of the pond as it is today.
The pines along the side of the house, do you think they'll have any problems as the pines get bigger and asked to be removed, or the insurance company asked to be removed since they are so close to the dwelling?
It hasn't been requested of us, or the property owner hasn't been mentioned, or have been told, or at least hasn't told me about any other additional maintenance.
Okay, because I know more and more insurance companies are asking that trees be removed from certain distances from the homes because of storms. Okay. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to comment on this project? Christine, please, your comments.
This dock was here prior. Do you know if it had a Chapter 91 license?
I couldn't find one, so I anticipate that we will need to apply for one.
Yeah. And this is kind of a minor thing, but it looks like there is diatomous fish habitat going through here that comes out on the other side to the river. Just a,
And the impact?
it'd be negligible, I would say, because it's not super far out.
All right. Anybody else have any issues or questions? If not,
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a second. Joseph?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Aye.
Paula Jean? Sandy?
Aye.
It's closed. And your recommendation for the,
Standard order of conditions with getting the Chapter 91 license.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Michael?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Aye.
Paula Jean?
Aye.
Sandy? Aye. You got it. Don't
Appreciate it.
do anything until you get your, oh, you know what?
Fines.
I forgot to fine.
Oh, rats.
I closed the hearing. Can I reopen the hearing, or just can we say fine? Recommendation, I messed up.
This one, I would say I have a hard time finding the person because it was done before they owned the property. They are proposing a lot of mitigation for the violation anyway. But
Okay.
if you were
So the
to,
work was started by a prior owner.
I think there's been 3 owners in the time frame of since we started the violation.
Well, that's probably why it's taken 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay,
But remember, this is the area of the state law that falls under the $25,000 2-year in prison clause.
Yeah, if it's a violation identified by the state. We are definitely not putting anyone in handcuffs. But no, you're right. And we have a 3-year look back of when the property changes hands on violations as well. They're proposing mitigation. You're getting, is it a 1-to-1 for the trees?
1 to 6, 4 to 6,
There were 6 removed and.
and we're getting 4, plus we're getting all the blueberries.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of space to be planting trees on this lot.
No, and
Yeah.
if I take a look at what you're planning, I'm sorry, we're talking beyond, we closed the hearing, so.
Well,
Red maple or tupelo trees.
I'm,
so.
be careful about that ladder. It's got a lot of little things, little, never mind.
I think you have to reopen the hearing, even if you
Yep.
don't impose a fine, but it has to be discussed.
I'm no longer discussing.
Okay.
We're closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Madam Chair, Niall Zager from Zenith Consulting is here for the first hearing. He was having a little bit of difficulty with his Zoom. But if you would like to untable that project, he's ready to present.
So I take a motion to untable 10 Knowles Ave.
So moved.
A
Second?
motion and a second. Joe? Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame? Paula
Aye.
Jean? Sandy? We're untabled.
Aye.
And who's here representing it?
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Niall Zager from Zenith Consulting Engineers.
Niles, do me a favor, spell your last name.
Zager.
Thank you, and talk to us about this project.
Great. So I am here before you for a septic upgrade. Currently, the existing system is a cesspool located in the rear of the property. The lot is only just over 11,000, almost 11,600 square feet, so it's about a quarter of an acre in size, so it's fairly small. There is a wetland located to the rear of the property as you're standing at the street. It's located off-site. The buffer to that, the 100-foot buffer to that wetland does encroach on our property. However, we were able to keep the septic system and all of its components and all work associated with it outside of that buffer. However, we are in a land subject to coastal storm flowage. We are fortunately not having to raise any of the grade. Everything will be put back in the ground, at its existing grade. This does trigger, because we are within 150 feet of the wetland, this does trigger the Board of Health regulation that requires an advanced treatment system, which is essentially a microfast unit that goes in the septic tank and provides for much cleaner effluent for that septic system. We are proposing, although we are outside of the 100-foot buffer, we are proposing silt sock at the rear of the work, just in order to try to mitigate any erosion off the site. The existing cesspool will be removed and off-site completely by the contractor and filled in with sand. And that's really about it. It's a pretty tight site. Luckily, we were able to get everything as far away as we possibly can. And we feel as though this is a significant improvement from what's currently there. I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission has.
Thank you. Joe?
The existing shed that lies with a portion of it in the 100-foot buffer, is that getting removed?
There is no proposal to do that at this time. That is to stay in place.
Okay, I was out there today. That thing it looks like a knockdown. I don't know if we can make the recommendation to remove it, but it's definitely not safe to go in, I would say, if anyone else got out there today.
I did not walk that far back.
There is a shed, and it is a portion of it within the 100-foot. But there'd be no other questions for me.
Okay.
Besides that shed, I would kind of recommend to take that down.
Thank you. Michael?
Any concern about like erosion control fencing or something along those lines? That's all, because it is pretty close to the wetlands back there or the stream.
They're planning to put in this is where they're putting in the erosion
Oh,
control, and
that's
that's the
back there.
wetland. That's the
Gotcha.
road. Yep.
Okay, then that's all.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Kwame?
What did you say the leaching field was on the,
Cool. It's going to be, so you've got the 1,500-gallon septic tank, which has a microfast unit in it. And then it's going to feed gravity into infiltrated quick pour chambers, which are basically just a plastic chamber. It's in a leaching field configuration. And those will go right in the backyard as shown.
okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Paula Jean?
No questions, thank you.
Where's the cesspool? I didn't see it on the,
If you see the note on the left side, see the drive where the driveway is on the left side?
yep.
There is a little symbol that has a circle with an S on the right side of the driveway, into the driveway, there's a little symbol there that shows an S. That's exactly where it is. There's a little note that says existing septic system location, approximate to be decommissioned in accordance with 310 CMR 15.
I found it.
It's small. I mean, it's a cesspool, so it's not very big.
And the owner did reach out to the sewer commissioners and was told that there was no plan to put sewer down this road, which is why this is the option he or she had to go with. Anybody online or in the audience would like to talk to this project?
Scott?
Oh,
I'm trying not to take it personally, Madam Chair. I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, Scott.
No questions. Thank you.
I apologize. It was a tough day. I did my taxes, so I'm still reeling. Okay. No one online or in the audience? Christine, any comments on the project?
No.
Okay.
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Joseph?
Oops, sorry.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame? Paula
Aye.
Jean? Sandy?
Aye.
The hearing is closed. And your recommendation, Christine?
-2, -6.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Joseph? Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame? Paula
Aye.
Jean? Sandy? It's
Aye.
done and approved. And thank you. Don't do any work until you get your paperwork from our agent, all right?
Understood. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Because she's here.
Next one, please.
On the request for notice of intent for Jean May, William Ely, and Charles Edmund Churchill, 6 Horses Crossing, Lincoln, Mass. Construction of a single-family dwelling, septic system, carport, and associated utilities. Map 24, Lot C and 1001, 18 Bass Cove Lane, Wareham, Massachusetts. I motion to open the hearing.
I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Joseph? Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame? Paula Jean? Sandy? 600, the hearing is open, please. And who's here representing us?
Good evening, Brad Bertola with JC Engineering.
I'm sorry, Brad. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth on this project at 18 Bass Cove Lane. Thank you. All right. You're up.
I guess I should work from the office next time, since I won't have to. Again, for the record, Brad Bertola with JC Engineering. This property is located way out there at the end of Great Neck Road, at 18 Bass Cove Lane. Property is currently vacant, 3-acre piece, situated next to Bass Cove. There are a number of resource areas on the property. It's subject to land subject to coastal storm flowage, zone AE elevation 16. There is a salt marsh located just southerly of the access road to the property, and that 100-foot buffer zone is into the property. Due to the grades, there is a coastal bank on the property that basically follows elevation 16, and that is depicted on the plan, including the 30-foot and the 100-foot buffers from the coastal bank. This property, we're proposing to construct a single-family dwelling, septic system, driveway, well, and a carport. He's anticipating on putting some solar panels on the carport. And a portion of this project would be subject to your jurisdiction. That includes the installation or construction of a driveway. I have the driveway coming in up on the upper level of the property, just to avoid doing any work on the coastal bank. We are proposing some tree clearing and some minor grading and the construction of the house, which would be within the 100-foot buffer zone of the coastal bank, but we are maintaining no less than 30 feet buffer from the top of the coastal bank. The septic system, carport, majority of the driveway are all greater than 100 feet from the coastal bank. and actually greater than 150 feet from the wetlands. Due to Board of Health requirements, this is considered new construction within 500 feet, so the septic system will be included, an alternative septic system, a microfast unit. The area for construction is relatively level, so there's very minimal grading required. So it's a nice flat portion of the property. So if you have any questions on the project, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, we'll start with Joseph.
No questions for me.
Michael.
No questions, thank you.
Autumn.
No questions, thank you.
Kwame.
None for me, thank you.
Paula Jean.
I'm just am I unmuted? Yes. I'm just wondering, for the construction part of the project, will Bass Cove Road be used as the access avenue for trucks and equipment and everything that's going to be needed for this project? I live nearby, so I know you can barely get a car down there as it is. Once in a while, a brave UPS driver tackles it, but what is the plan? You know, it's rough going. I know there is a different right-of-way from George's Point end. I didn't know if that was going to be used, or is it going to be Bass Cove Road?
I'm sorry, I had a lot of conversation behind you, and I didn't quite hear the rest of it. What was the end of that, please?
So the question, to sum it up, will Bass Cove Road be the road used for equipment coming in for the building project? Or is there a plan for improvement of that road so that vehicles can get in?
There's no proposal to improve the roadway, but yes, it is the access. And obviously, I don't think, it is a gravel road, so
It's not wide enough for a truck.
it's tight. I got down there, so.
All right.
Have you seen it after a rain?
Well, that's when I went down. It was nothing but a puddle.
I went down yesterday, it was
more
pretty much a
puddle than
puddle
road.
too.
Anything else? Paula Jean, anything else? Okay.
No.
Will
thank
you be using the existing driveway to get to the property?
Yes, Bass Cove, yes.
No, not the Bass Cove Lane, but the driveway to go up the hill to the house. You'll be,
Point or something.
I went up a driveway and I saw stakes, so I figured that's where you're going to put the house, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's part of the roadway.
You're going to use that existing one as opposed to cutting a new one?
Yes, we'll cut a driveway off of that existing.
Oh, yeah, when you get up to the carport and the homes. Now, where's the water? Is there a well?
Yeah, it's kind of almost dead center on the lot, just, it's got a big blue circle in the middle of the,
All right. I trust you. I just didn't see it.
I can show you on the plan if you want.
No, I think I found it. I found it. Little tiny little sucker.
Do you want a full-size plan?
No, I got it. I found it. Now, how about runoff from the roof? I see nothing for dry wells or anything like that. Can we accommodate that?
We could. I mean, we did put it in the most level portion of the property, but yes, that would help out if the commission decides to request dry wells for the roof runoff.
Do you think they will put in rain barrels or just dry? I would like a dry well. Even though the level is straight, it's still going to affect, but they're going to put in a solar panel on the carport of the house.
I think it was anticipated on the carport.
Okay. So I would like to see dry wells added to the plan. Is there anybody online or come here, you want to talk to us, tell us who you come up?
Scott?
How many times did you do your taxes today?
It was a carryover from yesterday because I made a horrible mistake and it took me a while. Sorry, Scott.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, please identify yourself.
My name is Myron Lewis. Myself and Deanne Rosenberg live at number 19 Bass Cove.
Oh, that a very nice little sucker all the way down there. Very nice piece of property. I went down the wrong road. I'm sorry about that. I went down the wrong road, but have a seat. And your comments, please?
Okay, let me get my glasses on, sorry about that. Okay. Our concerns are twofold and have to do with the roads leading to the construction site. I'll give you a better description of Bass Cove Lane. It's a narrow, one-lane, dirt and sand road, not gravel, along the Bass Creek and classified mostly as wetlands or coastal bank. It is the only access to our home and our only fire lane and emergency outlet. We've had at least 4 emergencies in the last year, including one 911 ambulance. There are no turnouts big enough for construction vehicles and automobiles to get past each other if they have to, and large vehicles cannot park or work from it without blocking access. The road is soft in many places. It pools up a lot during the rain and snow, and the tide is threatening to overrun it someday because of global warming. And we are afraid the large construction vehicles will tear it up just by driving on it, especially when it's wet. We would like to offer alternatives to avoid these problems. One, can the construction vehicles use a side road which comes off of Burgess Point Road. Burgess Point Road is paved and can handle construction trucks, I would think. This road runs from Burgess Point Road through Audubon land. I thought there might have been some sort of a right-of-way there for somebody or somebodies that are related to this construction. And that's one way to get there. In other words, they can bring the construction trucks down Burgess Point Road and up through this side road to the construction
Okay.
site.
I'm going to stop you.
That's one of our suggestions.
I'm going to stop you right there. We can talk about the roads as it hit wetlands, but is it within us to indicate to them an alternative travel to this site? I mean, is it something we can cover? I know we can talk about the issue of the roads today have to go through wetlands to get there, but I don't see how we can talk about forcing or asking them to have another method of reaching this construction site.
You can ask the applicant if there's a different alternative of accessing the site.
Yeah.
You know, Brad, you know?
Wait.
Well, this is a current access, providing access for 2 houses already. So, I mean, I could understand concerns with construction vehicles over it, but it's pretty easy to make sure there's a condition that, you know, the roads are repaired after.
Yeah.
I mean, whether this house is built here or not, this is still being used by residential dwellings, so.
Okay.
But there is, this property does have, and same for, I believe, Myron here, I believe looking at the deeds, there were some access easements that were in the deed, but where he's referring to, I don't think that's constructed to a point that would even allow you to get any type of vehicle, or never mind walk down it. There was some remnants of it coming off of, down by, it's shown on the plan, but there's like a little bit of an access way headed
I'm sorry,
north.
are you talking about the road?
The road itself, yeah.
Because I don't live that far from there. I'm trying to think what road runs off of Burgess Point to their property, and I can't think of one.
No, it would have to be constructed to,
It would come off the cul-de-sac.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, what?
Wait.
I'm not, it's not, thank you.
So, hearing the concern from the gentleman at the microphone, it sounds like their concern is that access to the property may be hindered due to construction activities.
Yes.
You could require, after the first day of tree clearing to get the driveway in, you could put a condition that all construction vehicles be located on site and not parked in the roadway.
Okay.
That would help alleviate the concern of, restricted access.
Because even if they were to try, I'm going to let you continue in a minute. There are some small turnoff areas, but they are small, barely enough for a Mini Cooper.
Yeah,
Barely
they-
enough for a Mini Cooper, not much more than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're not close to each other. So, I mean, sorry, you may continue. I got my answers.
The alternative is let the trucks tear it up, but somebody's got to repair it.
Yeah, I indicated, if you listen to Josh, that we would be putting a condition in that all roads would be repaired to the status that they are now if they were damaged during any construction vehicles or travel to and from this work site. Is there anything else?
No, that's it. Deanne might have some
What? To your right, had his hand up first. You.
Well, I would also suggest that there be some place where a truck, maybe a lumber truck, maybe a cement truck, could turn around and go back out the road. Because he certainly couldn't back out all the way from the house lot to the main street.
Okay, I'm sure that there will be conditions made so that all turnaround occurs at the construction site, because there is no place along that road. I even had a tough time doing a
That's right.
three-way turn on that site. So we will
So-
put that in there, that a condition that all trucks must be kept and turned around at the construction site.
Once the driveway is cut into the property, that'll allow you to.
How much wider will you make that driveway? Because it's barely,
Not the current driveway?
yeah.
Well, no, you
I
can
think
look
we're
at
going to
this.
utilize the
This is a
existing
road
roadway.
through
I
the
don't,
woods.
we're not proposing any
And
improvements.
this is a private right-of-way.
I don't know if there would be a branch
This
here.
is the road that, there's no place to turn a truck around.
No place to turn the trucks around.
Now, did you have some comments to add?
at the site.
Yes,
What's
you've
that?
got
Make the
a
site bigger.
couple
This
that's
is
a
the site where they
92
want
Oh,
to build
gentlemen,
there.
and 86. And we have to be able to get emergency vehicles to us should we need them.
yes. Yeah, I understand your issue is that 9/11 and emergency access to that house at 19 would be difficult if there were trucks on the road moving back and forth, because if they started to drive out and you trying to get in, you're stuck there. So I don't know how to handle one-way traffic when there has to be two-way traffic if emergency is needed. Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can you please get the name of the gentleman on the end?
Oh,
Would they have to
I
cut,
need your name.
would they
I
have,
need your name, please.
she said,
She wants your name.
oh, my name, George Fardy, F-A-R-D-Y.
And your name, ma'am. Your name.
Your name.
Deanne, D-E-A-N-N-E, Rosenberg, R-O-S-E-N-B-E-R-G,
Thank you.
resident since 1973.
Yay. And I need your name.
Myron Lewis, Lewis.
We need that for our minutes. Thank you. Is there anybody else online? Paul, what? I didn't ask her? Oh.
No, you did, but I had one more comment. I mean, it's difficult to describe that road. But for one thing, if you were to walk down it, or if you'd gotten out of your car, Sandy, when you drove, you'll see the seaweed and the rack line is almost to the road now. The road in and of itself is just about at the brink of starting to be underwater when we get a super high tide, a spring tide, or a storm. That is an interesting factor to see how that's going to hold up. Also, if a vehicle does go down that road and meet someone coming the other way, which isn't very often because there's only one full-time residency down there and one part-time. If you go down there, somebody's got to back up, and often you have to back up half-mile before there's one of those tiny pullovers. So it just seems like it would be a crazy scene.
Yes. access to the property will be a challenge. Did you have another comment?
Yes, I have a question. When was the perk test on the proposed property done?
I'm sorry, Brad?
February 6th, we were out there.
I would say it ought to be done again in late April, when the ground is soft and wet.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else online? No? Christine, your comments on this project, please.
Paula Jean actually touched on my concern about this, but it isn't something that we really have anything to do with, so.
Yeah, we really cannot comment on the road. We can put a condition that it's returned to its condition. We can indicate that all turnaround must occur at the site of the construction.
Madam Chair, I have one clarification I'd like to hear.
Yes.
So, Mr. Bartolo, you mentioned that the road would be returned to its original status at the end of the project. But what if the road breaks down during the project? Could we put it in a condition that the road would be repaired as needed during the project so that to guarantee access?
Yeah, that's a common sense question or a condition.
Get it right once in a while.
Yeah.
Thanks.
If I ask you,
This
if I
is
allow
where
you
he
to.
wants to build the house.
Do we need a new plan for the dry wells?
You guys have condition projects that we don't issue the order until we get the revised plan. I would say adding a dry well is a pretty minor revision.
So we would ask for,
Right away through their land.
we would ask for a
Which was
continuance,
deeded
waiting for an
before
updated
they
plan to
owned
show
it.
the dry well.
It's church.
I don't think you need a continuance, just we won't issue the order until we get the
So we can put
plan.
that, we will put that in our order of conditions that you, Christine will see the plan with the dry well on it.
Yeah, Christine has
A gentleman, excuse me. Myron, we're talking.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Christine has a list of conditions that she will be recommending.
So then I will make a, I think we're done unless somebody else has anything else.
I motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a motion to close the hearing and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame? Paula Jean?
Aye.
Sandy? The hearing is closed. Now your recommendations, please.
Standard order of conditions with dry wells to be installed, all construction vehicles to be on-site instead of in the road, all turnaround occurring at the construction site, providing an updated plan with the dry wells, all roads repaired to previous status at completion of the project, and a $200 fine for any trucks found blocking the roadway.
And I would like to add that we repair as needed during the construction.
So moved.
Wait a minute, I'm still writing. And a $200 fine if the road is blocked
By the truck.
at any occurrence of blocking the road. If it's reported as the road is blocked, each occurrence.
Yeah, I would say that, except for the initial beginning of the project, just because.
We got to give them a place to turn
Give
around.
them a place to get a truck off the road
Yes.
first. But I'm sure anyone doing activities out there would be more than accommodating for homeowners trying to get by.
Yes.
All right,
So moved.
I have that motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, Joseph?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Aye.
Paula Jean? Sandy?
Aye.
600. We're done. It's approved. Thank you very much for your comments. We have included them in our discussion regarding the access. Okay? Thank you. Have a good
Thank you
evening.
very much.
Okay.
That's it.
Night, Brad.
I guess we go home.
Yeah.
I don't know what we accomplished.
Well, we accomplished something.
Oh, well, that's good.
It's been, okay. Next one, please. Stacy, we're hearing you.
Next
Thank you. Sorry. Next, please.
On the request for notice of intent for Lupa LLC, 46 Winship Ave, Wareham, Massachusetts, replacement of a support to a pier and repair of a seawall. Map 22, Lot B, 46 Winship Avenue, Wareham, Massachusetts. I motion to open the hearing.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to open the hearing. All in favor, Joseph?
Aye.
Michael, Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame, Paula Jean, Sandy, the hearing is open. God, I don't like this. It's gonna put 15 minutes.
46 Winship requested a continuance as DMF wants to comment on the project, and will have their comments in by or before April 2nd.
All right, so we're looking at 4/7,
4/2.
4/2.
Yes, second, sorry.
There's a request for a continuance.
I motion to continue until April 2nd.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Joseph?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean? Sandy, we're
Yes.
continued 600. Thank you very much. And, okay, that one got continued. Next one is, continued public hearing. We have, 25 Oak Street. I saw you. Come on down.
Can we either have that door closed? I just don't want them.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. And who's here representing this project?
I'm Paul Athanasio,
Paul, I'm going to ask you to spell it.
Athanasiou.
And
Paul Summers, Somers.
Paul and Paul, can you stand and raise your right hands? I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth on the project for 25 Oak Street. Thank you. Have a seat. It's nice to see the building closed in. Sorry, comment. All right. And, okay, Paul, your turn. Talk to us.
We're looking to remove 2 trees. One's an oak and one's a pitch pine, both within the buffer zone. The pitch pine overhangs the new dwelling, which was previously approved by this committee. They will both be removed by Walnut Tree Services with a crane. They do pose a hazard if we have any sort of dangerous storm or high winds. They could pose a hazard to dwellings on either 25 Oak Street or properties adjacent to it. That's really all I have for that. 2 trees, and they both are hazardous.
Anything else?
I don't like taking trees down, as you know, but under the circumstances, looked at every
Better
angle.
a tree
of
than the
it.
house.
The trees are, especially that pine tree, is about 45 feet, leaning towards the house. Southwest wind, it leans towards the house, and
Yeah.
with a good wind, I'm afraid this, at some point in time, is going to.
And the hardwood is a split trunk, so it's a little weak. Okay, question, Joseph.
In what jurisdiction do we have with these trees? Is it just
The buffer zone.
the buffer
100
zone?
feet
Okay.
from the water.
And all
within
these
100
trees
feet.
are within?
Correct, both, yeah.
By probably 75, 80 feet. if it was
Okay.
Correct.
nighttime.
I have no questions. If they're hazardous, are they pretty big? Are they, how
Yeah,
tall would
you
they
can
be?
see in the, do you want me to
Joseph?
pass this around?
I would appreciate it.
Yeah,
I got one.
Thank you.
yeah. You can see in figure 1,
Just slide it over.
the tree does overhang part of the property. That's the pitch pine. And you can see they're both fairly large, especially compared to the structure. And if they fall towards the house, which they will with that southwest wind, there could be it's a significant hazard.
Gotcha. And now, is this for insurance reasons, or is this just kind of mitigating the risk?
Yeah.
Okay.
More of a risk than
Yeah.
insurance fees.
It doesn't look like they're dead or dying currently,
There's no disease,
Termination?
that is true.
Okay.
There have been branches that have broken off the pine and come down and hit the property.
Okay.
That kind of got my attention.
Yeah, I would be afraid if something fell on my deck, too. All right, no further questions for me.
Okay, thank you.
Michael?
Some of the questions have already been, I guess, addressed already here. So this is mostly for insurance purposes, like that, correct?
Yeah,
And it's
safety
mostly
hazard,
Safety,
yeah.
okay. Any thoughts of maybe replacing the tree somewhere else on the property? I know it is a small property.
It is really
but-
small. I don't believe there's a space on that property where there could be without a hazard to the dwelling.
Even if it wasn't a tree, even if it wasn't a tree of the same size, just maybe another tree anyway, or?
I had thoughts of putting a bush there or some type of a flower bed with a bush to kind of dress it up. It's, with the tree removed and then the subsequent rooting system in the trunk, you leave a spot, and they propose to regrow either bush, flowers, or flower beds or something in that area at some point in time.
I would like to point out there's no plan to grind the stumps there.
That was the next question.
Okay.
You're going to leave the stumps?
That is correct, yeah.
That would have gone around. Someone, Paula Jean would have asked that question.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Kwame?
No, the only question I had, and you already answered that, is the stumps, because that would be a form of erosion, you know.
Right, and that was intentional there, to
Right.
leave those there. There's
That's
no
correct.
intention to grind those.
So I don't have any other questions. Thanks.
Paula Jean?
You took my question, Sandy. I did go look at those trees when this was first on the agenda many, many moons ago. And I looked at, one was dormant, one's a hardwood tree, and one's the pine. And I looked at them, and I'm not a licensed arborist, but they look like perfectly healthy trees to me. And I thought, it's sad, I can understand any and all trees are a potential hazard if a storm comes. But bit by bit, we see the shoreline being denuded. Here, a couple here, a couple there. And I think about all the habitat these trees provide along the shore, and that's something we're supposed to be looking out for and protecting. And I like to think that that would carry, the protection of habitat would carry equal weight for the concern about what ifs for a healthy tree if someday it blew down. So I feel your pain as a homeowner myself, but I would at least like to see something else planted, maybe a tree that that we know its mature height is not as much as the trees being removed, but to have something else there rather than just more naked shoreline.
Believe it or not. Scott?
So you said these trees are 70, 80 feet from the water line, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's.
Are they also in a coastal bank?
I don't
I
believe so.
think it's just above the coastal bank,
That's correct, yeah.
be more towards the level street area of Oak Street.
Yeah, it is in an upland area. It's not in a resource area.
No further questions, thank you.
All right, I noticed around the pine tree, you have some arborvitae there. So you do have some type of vegetation there. And along the hardwood, there's a lot of scrub stuff on the other side between the fence and the beach.
Yeah, there's certainly plenty of vegetation
So
there.
you're not going to, that will stay.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing
I have
else is being
No intentions
cleared.
of removing anything else, just, that tree just poses a risk. And
I'm looking at it, it's split right down the middle. I mean, that's okay. Anybody online or in the audience would like to talk about this project? Seeing none. Christine, your comments on this?
I don't have any comments. You guys have already said what I would have said, so.
All right.
Madam Chair, I'll make one comment. Normally for, one or two trees that pose hazards to structures, the agent, myself or Christine would, write these off administratively, do a determination. The reason you're seeing this one today is because I feel less comfortable doing that on small lots where you have a lot of small lots and a lot of trees have been removed over the years. One recommendation from us would be the replanting of a tree.
Would you, the lot is 50 foot wide.
Very small.
That is small.
Yep.
Would you recommend the tree be planted between the house and the road? or just a tree on the property?
I guess it's wherever it makes sense to be put. I don't,
Somewhere down the line, it's gonna get big and be right there next to the house.
yeah. There'll be a few years before that happens. But, my fear is for, Oak Street is definitely one of those communities where you have so many small lots that every tree is a hazard to a structure.
Yes.
And when you start talking about places like Onset, it's not going to be long before there's nothing left. So that would be my recommendation, is that there at least be one tree replaced with this proposal.
Because what would you recommend for a tree that would not be hazarded within our lifetime, within 40 years?
Yeah, I don't think there's one. I mean, I think an oak tree seems pretty fitting for the street that it's on.
But somewhere down the line, they're gonna have to dig a hole, which means they're gonna have to do something with the stump in order to make space to dig a hole, because there really isn't any space between where that hardwood is and the edge of the seawall. I'm just not sure where in the property we could put one in that
I'm sure the Pauls could come up with a creative location for a tree.
so we just say to the Pauls, we want a tree, and let
that's
them choose where
Yeah.
it can be placed on the property.
And if they would like my assistance with that, I'd be more than happy to go back out to the site.
There's your recommendation. I think we're done. Nothing else?
I motion to close the hearing.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Joseph?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean? Sandy? We're closed. Your recommendation, Christine?
-3, -6, to replant a tree and keep the stumps on ground.
So moved.
Second?
I'm writing.
I went slow.
Well,
Replace trees, see Josh. Okay, I have a motion and a second for -3 and 6. Place the tree and keep the stumps. All in favor? Joseph?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean? Sandy?
Aye.
You're done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Aye.
Right.
All right.
So it's either I need a second or I'm writing. Then what's gonna be?
Next one we have is 28 Nelson Street. They must want to, do they want a continuance?
Nope, they're here. You were
Supposed to be a dinner.
you were adamant about them attending this meeting
Thank
at your
you.
last meeting.
Okay.
The whole team.
We're here for 28 Nelson Street, and let me see who was here before. Did I swear everybody in? I don't think I did.
Not me.
Please stand and raise your right hand. I swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth regarding 28 Nelson Street. I do. Thank you. I do. And please identify who you are and the reason you didn't, because you're a lawyer.
Yes.
Thank
Attorney
you.
Jillian Morton, 184 Main Street.
Bill Bejant. Jeff Youngquist.
Okay, Bill, spell your last name.
Bachant.
Jeff,
Youngquist.
Morton.
That's right, like the salt.
Okay, Julian, you're up.
All right, excellent. So project in front of you, 28 Nelson Street. This was in front of you prior to my involvement last year as well. This is a tricky site. This is a site that you have bordering vegetated wetlands, land subject to coastal storm flowage, you have buffer zone. So what happened is that there was a actual expert that was engaged that we paid for to get a review. So I don't know if he's here or not. If
He's
you would
online.
like him to kind of go through it, I'm sure. I'd like him to probably talk about it before we kind of give our opinion of that. And then we're trying to find a solution here. You know, this house is really not even a house. It's pretty much almost falling down. It's not something that we're trying to fix a situation where the property itself, the building, is on this paper road. And last time, we were getting to a place where possibly we were able to kind of raise that and do a new one. But it was stopped because of concerns in regards to having to be close to the wetlands and then putting mitigation there. So we're trying to find a happy medium for everyone, and we're happy to give different options for that. But I think perhaps the experts should speak, and then we can, that's why we have the builder here, and then obviously the engineer.
All right, and who is here to talk to us about this report? Do we have the report?
Yep, you guys have
Is
the
that the
report.
ecosystem?
Yep, that is Mr. Fana from Ecosystem Solutions, and he is attending via Zoom.
All right, and the report was dated January 27th, 25, if I'm looking at the right report? Okay.
Sounds right.
Who's online?
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair. Brandon Fana from Ecosystem Solutions. I am your peer reviewer for this project.
Okay, Faneuf.
Correct.
All right, you're up.
Okay, I don't know if you want me to describe the project of what they want to do, if you want to have the applicant do that themselves, or if they've already done that. I can go over my findings, but it's going to, unless you want me to go over what the project is, it's going to gloss over that.
Julian?
I think it's fine if he wants to go over it. I mean, our main issue that we're having trouble with is that he's constituting this as a new construction. So I'd love to hear kind of that flow and then how we can come to some solution here. Because if we're raising it and actually moving it away in certain areas, this has been there since 1930.
I'm surprised it's still standing.
Yeah.
Okay, Brandon, you're up. Talk to us.
Okay, to get directly to the issue is that this is a demo rebuild on a new footprint, and all but a small sliver of this parcel has been flagged by the applicant's own wetland consultant as BVW, which is also next to a salt marsh, which is also in land subject to coastal storm flowage. Division of Marine Fisheries has also submitted comments in objection to the project as well. But, to get to the long and the short of it is that if they were rebuilding in kind on the same footprint, I don't think this would even be an issue. But because the project is in BVW, the house is 100% in BVW as it stands today and where it is also proposed. So we don't even have to go as far as the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw. If you just look at 310 CMR 10, 10.55 for performance standards of work in a BVW, I mean, if you're changing the footprint of the house, and what they're trying to do is make it more conforming with zoning regulations, because the house, according to the map that I'm looking at, is slightly over the property line. So they want to square it off to be, the proper distance away from the property line, which is admirable. But the problem is that now you have a conflict between two different sets of regulations and laws. And although it might be more conforming for zoning, the Conservation Commission has to take it at face value for work in a BVW, right? So they're under 5,000 square feet of work. What they're saying is overall it's going to be a net reduction of impact. So, they're saying that the wetland replication will therefore not be needed, but they're on a different footprint. So if it's on a different footprint, the commission, in my opinion, has every right to look at it as new construction. And the question you have to ask yourselves as a commission is, do you want new construction in a BVW? And you have no obligation to do that if you don't want to. So you can if you want, but it's up to you if you don't. And what I would do is go through the public interests, both under 310 CMR 10 and your bylaw, and basically go through them and ask yourselves, how would the placement of a house in a BVW adversely impact these particular sets of public interests? That's the long and the short of it. The report I have, you know, it addresses everything line by line, but that's the long and the short of it, to save everybody time.
Any follow-up?
Yeah, so I'd love to kind of go into a few of the particulars of the proposition that we have, and specifically kind of going against this idea that it should be considered new construction, because I think that really hinges on your decision. And another piece of it is that you can, under the CMR, allow for limited work under BVW. So there's no, as long as it doesn't have significant adverse impact. All right, so this property is actually going to improve that compliance, yes, and zoning wise, but also as far as moving in certain areas and moving it away, making it modern stormwater management. Right now, you don't have that. I think it might be helpful for Bill to go through the building process, if you've seen the build, how it's on pylons, right? Yeah, so he would just.
4x4s.
4x4s. So
And
perhaps.
I think one of the big points is, in the beginning, we went for a bigger footprint. We came back to exactly the same footprint. We're not adding any square footage. We specifically hired the architect to go with the exact footprint of the house that's there and move it. This commission asked us to move it as far out as we could, and we did that. We did everything we were asked to do. I mean, the guy has a right to have his house. I hate to say it, unless the town wants to buy it from him. He spent the money on it. It's gonna be less of an impact on the environment where we're putting it now, as opposed to where it is. Where it is now, it's just ridiculous. You know, and we're moving it as far out as we possibly can. And that's what the commission asked us to do, and we did it.
An alternative, you know, would be to keep the exact same footprint, which I don't think it would be any much better in the eyes of the commission. So we want to work and find a, you know, happy medium, but, you know, there is certainly public policy, but there's also, if he does get denied, he would be able to, you know, appeal it for undue hardship. So we're trying to find a pathway forward.
So if I take a look at the plans dated, what's the most current plan? Do I have, the one I have is December 21, 23. That looks like the one we
This is
denied.
December 21st, 2023 is, but it was revised 9/16/24.
I don't have that.
Madam Chair, may I ask,
Well, I'm just, yeah, wait a second.
what kind of mitigation are you guys proposing on this? Any replants of any vegetation? I know the project is within this 30-foot buffer zone, but what kind of mitigation would you guys be proposing on the property
Well, we'd
itself?
do some more wetland plantings where the house actually is now after we get it out of there. We'd do plantings there.
And all the debris that would be where that
Hauled
current
away.
building is hauled away, and that gravel road, do you guys have any updated plans, or was this the most recent one from December?
This is the most recent. On the plan too, it addresses the driveway, and I know that the peer reviewer had an issue with that as well. But we're not increasing impervious with this. It's not going to be asphalt or anything. Right now, it's currently grass, so.
Very wet grass, might I add.
Correct.
If there is any way to make that a better driveway and maybe add some mitigation of
Yeah, I
wetland
think-
plantings because of all the effect you'd be doing within that 30-foot.
Yeah, we're open to mitigation, absolutely.
Madam
get back
Chair,
to the
Brandon Pfaniff here, they're not even in the 30-foot, they're in the BVW. So I want to make that clear. And also, yes, I have not seen the most recent set of site plans, but that was one of our comments too, is that the driveway, which is really Alfred Avenue, the wetland delineation didn't follow it all the way up around the bend, and we think there's a chance that the driveway / Alfred Avenue might also be part of the wetland. So we asked for them to look into that as well.
So as of current date, there is
Because
no
all work is being proposed
mitigation
in
for
the BVW.
Yeah, the entire thing. Here's the wetland line right there.
Anything else, Joseph?
No, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Michael?
No, my only concern was the driveway, so nothing's changed then with the driveway. It's still, and I'm sorry, I had like 3 people talking at the same time, so I really didn't hear anything, regardless. So there's been no updates then as far as the driveway goes then at this time?
No, I think we wanted to get the opinion of the board here. You know, it's a big deal. If we're able to do this moving forward, we're happy to hear suggestions, for sure. Driveway.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Autumn?
Is this dwelling currently connected to any utilities?
The stubs are right there. It was on a water line, they disconnected it, and the water stub and sewer stub are right there. So it was always planned to be on utilities.
Okay. Thank you.
And it had been, right?
It had
Until
been, yeah.
he removed it, yeah.
Thank you.
So it was always on sewer?
No, it wasn't on sewer before it had a cesspool.
But it had water? It had,
Water, yep.
I'm sorry. Kwame?
So basically, with the new set of plans, you're going to be pushing the house out of the activity zone.
Put it as far out as we possibly could legally. We already did that on the plan.
Yes, okay. And then you're going to bring it up.
We're basically just gonna put the same house as far away from the wetland as we can, but the whole lot's in the wetland, so.
Right. And then the only question I have too after that is driveway.
That's a great point, though, with the pilings, because that's going to improve any storm resiliency and reduce the direct impact in surrounding wetlands if it does get up to that code. Then currently, if there was some major storm or something, it could go flying.
Yeah.
Back in the
Yeah.
50s.
We'll bring it up on the flood.
Yeah,
Before I was born.
right.
That's all questions, thank you.
Paula Jean?
Well, I remember looking at this quite a long time ago, being lost and searching, and finally going through the other yard and finding it, and all I could think, I was stunned that someone wanted to build anything in there. It was like, if that wasn't a wetland. And that was my first impression. Followed along with the new plans. And I'm out of the country right now. I would have been down there this last week to look again for sure. But we're not supposed to approve new construction in a BVW, is my understanding. And if this is certainly a wetland, the gentleman said a minute ago that the whole lot is in the wetlands. And it just, I don't see how we can, our bylaw can allow us to approve this. Thank you.
So you've had us set it 5 feet off of the lot line for zoning, planning, whatever. I get the two mixed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But it is not in the same footprint of what you have now.
It is exactly the same footprint. We made sure of that. That's why we hired the architect.
Well, I'm not seeing,
This doesn't show the new, this is just the old building.
Yeah.
They've turned it.
yeah, the old building was at an angle and the new building is
You're
parallel to the
correct.
so
You're
it's not
correct.
the same footprint.
Right.
You're correct. We're
It's a
talking,
different location.
yep.
Thank you. I thought I could read a plan. Okay. Pylons. But I am very concerned about that road. All I could see was ruts, and you put any gravel in it, the gravel will sink down because there's nothing to keep it, so that's a nasty road. Anyway, there were comments done by the Marine Fisheries dated December 4th, 2024. Have you had them? And can you comment on them? The Mass DMF does not support the new construction of a residential home in such a close proximity to salt marsh habitats and wetlands. Can you comment on there?
Again, are they talking about new construction?
It does not support new construction.
Right, so then we renovate it and we're running into the same thing, at the same site.
Yep.
See how this could, we could take how many walls down? You know, that's the other option, to keep it exactly where it is, which we have plans and we could show you.
Well, you
but-
can't because it's in the road.
Well, we'd ask for there's different routes.
All right. Is there anybody online or in the audience would like to comment on this project?
Scott?
Next time you sit next to me,
Might sit on top of you.
maybe that too. Scott,
I'd like to read into the public record the conclusion.
gentlemen,
I'd like to read into the public record the conclusion of the report submitted by ESI, which is Ecosystem Solutions. Conclusion, it is the professional opinion of ESI that the proposed project, as depicted currently, does not meet performance standards set forth in 310 CMR 1055-4, that's the state law, nor the buffer zone performance standards set forth in Division 6, Article 1, Town of Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw. We do not see how the applicant can meet performance standards under either of the above unless the access way is kept in its current condition and the house is replaced in kind with no change in footprint. In its current form, we recommend denial under the DWPA, that's the Wetlands Protection Act, and Division 6, Article 1.
thank you. And Brendan, that was on your document dated
Well, that's,
January 17th, 25.
January 27, 2025.
Yes.
Yes, it is. This is a tough one.
So we actually had plans in the exact same spot that we curious if the board would be open to whether we give that to you. I know you don't want to look at them right now and have to make a decision, but continue it to allow you to look at those plans that are in the exact same spot and
That-
perhaps have the consultant take a look at it.
And that brings you up in conflict with the other
We'll
boards
deal
and
with it.
committees in times looking for a variance, so it's one of those things.
Hey.
It's, the whole project is going to
Know the game.
require
But we could give those to you, give them also to the peer reviewer and continue it and let you review that.
Give them to, make sure that Christine has them, and she will post them online, let us know they're there, and we will view them
Yeah.
on wherever that place is we go to look at them.
I just think the new plan is less of an impact on the environment. I mean, the bottom line is, the guy has a house. He's allowed to rebuild the house. I think there's less of an impact the way we have it now than doing it where it is now. I mean, I would be the one doing it, and that would be a lot more difficult and a lot more intrusive going where it is now.
But we're looking at the recommendation of your expert.
You're expert.
Hmm?
You're expert.
That's ours? He was
Yeah.
ours?
Yeah.
Sorry, ours. Ours.
Would it be perhaps helpful, obviously Bill being a builder, to discuss those differences? I mean, he's telling you it's more difficult for the plan keeping it exactly where it is. He could maybe nuance, and I could prepare something for you to take a look at. You know, the particulars.
Gives us some pros and cons as
Yeah.
to what are we going, what
Absolutely.
is it if he uses the exact same footprint versus
Absolutely.
what is being recommended, what is now in the plan, which is parallel to the street.
Great.
But you've heard it, we are concerned about the access to this site.
Yep.
And I don't know whether or not it's any easier coming off Nelson Street or coming off of the one on the north side. It's all, I'll put it this way, even I sunk in it, and I didn't even drive on it. I just, okay, I know I was gaining weight, but there is a limit to how much further my Crocs would go. Anybody online? Anybody in the audience? I know this has been continued for quite a while, so it's surprising that we don't have somebody here from some of the agencies that are looking at the wetlands and the abutters.
Are those the new plans there? Can I take a look at one of those real quick? I hate to send you away if I have comments on that.
Okay, while you're doing that, Christine, your comments?
Well, my concern's already been addressed by pretty much everybody, especially Mr. Faniff. So I don't really have any new comments to make. But since I haven't looked at the new plans just yet, with this access path down here for the grass paved driveway,
Another one there. This is just an existing conditions plan.
No, there'd be no driveway. No driveway.
What are they doing right now?
Well, the existing conditions plan I'm looking at shows first floor elevation. You have no stairway access going up to it. I assume you would need something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not getting 8 feet of elevation out of 3 steps here. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get you revisions. I know that you want to have it at least a week ahead of time, and I know the reviewer would want to see it, so would you want it a month out?
I would
2
tend,
weeks?
I would tend to think 4/2 is too soon.
Yeah.
4/2.
So then what's your next meeting after that?
4/16?
4/16.
Can you try it then?
I can do it then.
Could I have a clarification on?
Yes.
On one point? So, I'm sorry, the builder, what's your name?
Bill Bayshant.
Bill, you said that the owner has a right to rebuild the property.
Right.
Is that true, or is it that the owner has the right to maintain the property?
He has a right to a structure the same size where it is now. You can't financially punish someone because it is in the wetland. It's a screwed up situation. Granted, we're trying to make the best of it. That's why our suggestion is move it as far out away from that marsh as possible. I mean, where it is, it's like the marsh is there. And where we move it on really matters because we're taking it way farther out of the marsh.
Yeah, I just wanted clarification. There's a big difference between a right to rebuild and a right to maintain.
Well, he can maintain the property, but he's gonna have to bring it up out of the floodplain. And that's one of the other things is if there's a flood there, this thing's gonna get thrown into someone else's house, moved somewhere. We're gonna bring it up out of the floodplain. I mean, it's gonna be better for the neighborhood, any way you slice it. And he has a right to do it.
I don't think that's an accurate statement that you're pulling it farther away from the marsh.
Really?
Not according to the site plan, no. You're putting it closer to the marsh, actually.
Well, no, I think that plan you have right there leaves it where it is right now, I think.
Oh,
That's where it is
I'm
right
looking
now.
at the proposed house with the proposed deck and utility room.
They just gave you a plan that shows the house, I think, exactly where it is now.
Yeah, you gave me an existing conditions plan that doesn't even show an ability to get up to a new elevated structure, which this is gonna be. I mean, even if you wanted to renovate the house in kind right now, you're elevating it. There's no way you're not improving it 50% of the assessed value.
Right, you can do 50% of the appraised value once you lift it out of the floodplain. You can do 100% after you lift it out of the floodplain.
Right. I'm saying if you wanted to keep it at its current elevation, which the plan that Jillian's looking at right now would assume, because you show no access up to an elevated structure in that plan, I'm saying if you wanted to keep it where it was, there's no way you could renovate it to do that, to keep it at its existing elevation. You're raising the structure.
Right, you have to lift it out. Anything you do, you have to lift it out of the floodplain.
And I'm saying the existing conditions plan that Jillian has shows no access to an elevated structure.
Yeah, we just have to have Jason
Yeah.
provide the proper plan for Josh to take a look at.
But the new proposed house is definitely closer to the marsh.
It's
No,
smaller.
it's not, it's not. We went through it and made sure that it wasn't.
Jillian, can you show him this plan that shows
Yeah,
the
he sees it there.
existing?
I think it's irrelevant, well,
Well,
it's
that's-
relevant, but, I mean, we're on the same page. You're not, the board is definitely against. Yeah, if you want to.
John Gennaro, I'm the designer on the job.
Have a seat.
You have to get sworn in over there.
Please sit and tell us
John
who you are.
Gennaro, I'm the designer on the job.
Yeah, the one that
They have the existing, what's the new one?
John Janneiro. I believe what you're referring to, I don't remember your name.
Josh.
Josh. I believe you're probably referring to the decks.
That's correct, yep.
So the decks do not penetrate the ground, and they impose no harm to any vegetation whatsoever. They're permeable, the rain's gonna go right through them. There's no shadowing because it's in a wooded lot. I made sure that all stairs were within the footprint or cantilevered, so there's no impact on the ground. This committee really, in my opinion, this committee should be concerned with what's on the ground, not what's up in the sky.
Well, what's in the sky affects the ground, and you are proposing a structure within a wetland.
Gentlemen, thank you.
But again, we're talking about negligible impact because the rain goes through it.
We're looking at a property that has historically mowed down wetland for the use of a yard.
Not the current owners doing, though.
But it would be future doing. right?
That's
If this
fair.
property was left to be what it is, it would vegetate into a wetland.
That's fair.
Madam Chair, Brandon Fanoff.
I think we're at a point, sorry.
Thank you, I just waiting to be recognized.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Thank you. Regarding the shading, I want to mention that that was one of the things that DEP mentioned in their comments when issuing the file number. So, let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, so this is the proposed work description includes approximately 573 square feet of permanent alteration of BVW associated with the conversion of turf lawn to grass pave, in addition to uncalculated shading impacts associated with the proposed structure and its appurtenances. So yes, it's already a wooded lot, and I get that trees give shade, but it's very similar to like what you deal with a dock. You know, will a dock shade out the eelgrass underneath it? In this case, you know, or you have an elevated walkway or deck above a BVW. You know, you have to worry about shading impacts because that's also considered an alteration to the wetland. So it's one of the things that DEP did mention, and I'll mention here again for my own purposes.
I do not see the revised plan of 9/16/24 as being approvable. I would be willing to look at a revised plan, but I would come up with some very good suggestions on why this project is not approvable.
So your recommendation, we continue until 4/16 with a discussion with Bill and you regarding this?
Yeah.
Would you be willing to work with Bill to talk about?
He's complaining about.
Yeah, I would like to see a revised plan if that's what they're proposing.
Ms. Morton, all right?
Yes.
All right. I'm surprised there's nobody, we've continued so many times, people probably stop considering it. All right, so we will have for a continuance into 4/16 with a revised plan.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Joseph?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm sure Christine will tell us when the new plans are available online so we can go look at them. All right, the next we have is 0 Maple Street, Wareham Solar, 1 OMSR. Please come on up. And don't look at the clock, it hasn't been adjusted. Because I'm saying to myself, it's only 6:30? No. Okay. And who is here, do I have the right one? Who is here for this project?
Stacy Minahan with Beals and Thomas.
Eric Weinstein at New Leaf Energy.
All right, Eric, Stacy, who gets it?
Me.
Okay, go.
I have a very brief update for the commission. So we last met with the commission a few hearings ago. I apologize that I don't have the date off the top of my head. The commission had a series of questions that we, tried to answer to the best we could during the hearing, and then we also followed up with an initial response letter providing supplemental information to hopefully address the commission's questions. Of course, happy to address other questions you may have tonight. Subsequently, we did have a site visit with the peer reviewer, who then issued their comment letter that we responded to. There were a few remaining items in their subsequent response to our responses that we replied to, and so the peer review I would consider fully closed out. Their comments did not result in any design changes. There were some plan clarifications. We did take a look at the areas within the 50-foot no-touch area and tried to pull, we're requesting a waiver for that, as you likely recall. and tried to pull it back a little bit farther. And with one of our supplemental letters, we did include an exhibit that shows those two areas with photographs of the existing access roads in disturbed conditions. With that, that's kind of the status we're at. We're happy to answer questions. I'm happy to go through the peer reviewers' comments if you'd like, or if there's anything else that the commission would like to discuss.
And this is the March 4th, 2025?
So we sent, for response letters, the first one was February 11th, 2025 to the commission to respond to the initial questions that had been raised. And then we issued a February 25th letter responding to peer review comments, and then a March 11th responding to the remaining comments, which really related to the filing fee, which we respectfully disagree with, but submitted additional filing fee checks per the peer reviewers' recommendation, and then just explained again, they had called out in the bylaw that their interpretation was that it could be construed that multiple notices of intent were needed, and we just re-clarified that it's a singular project that encompasses multiple parcels, and yes, the order would be recorded against all of those parcels. So I think
March 11? Because I only have a March 4.
What was the March 4? That their Green Seals letter?
Yes.
Okay, so our March 11th response to their March 4th.
Okay.
And that should be uploaded to the site.
I never know when anything new is uploaded. Okay.
We'll shoot you an email when we upload anything.
It might
Cool.
help because I don't
That-
always,
it's a
I
fair-
don't
It's a fair comment.
look every day.
Yeah, you guys don't work in that space as much as we do, so that's a fair comment.
Yeah, so their March 4th letter, the only two remaining items that hadn't been fully closed out were the filing fee and recording the order against all of the parcels, which is standard practice. We would certainly do that.
All right. We'll start the questions. Eric, anything to add?
No.
Joseph?
This was continued last time
Well, it continued for a while.
for the reasons she's just mentioned.
For peer review.
Peer review.
Review. I
Because
guess
they first came before us in February 5th, 25?
Correct.
Oh, wasn't that long ago?
No.
No, this has
No,
been
I
a
think we've
pretty,
only missed
pretty
one.
quick-moving project.
Okay.
I think last time I asked a question about the harmful PEVs, I believe they're mentioned, studies from solar panels leaching into environments. Is there any conversation you'd like to talk about that, or?
Sure. So our initial letter of February 11th to the commission did address, and I don't recall whether it was yourself or another commissioner, but I know there were several questions about safety of the panels, and we discussed at that hearing that the panels are inert and don't leach, and that even when they're, well, I think we discussed this at the meeting, or it was in our response, even when they break like a car windshield, so it's not, things coming out of them. But our February 11th letter, and I can go through and highlight some of it, did discuss some of the questions that had raised. So one of them was related to PFAS. There were some questions from the commission about whether there was PFAS in the panels, which there is not. I think there was, historically, it's my understanding that there was like an aftermarket coating that could be put on panels that had contained PFAS, but these panels would not contain any PFAS, so we included that on page 4 of our response letter. And then there were also some general questions about health and safety of the panels, and so we included some studies attached to our letter that addressed the safety of the panels and the fact that toxic materials do not leach from them. So I think there's a fairly robust discussion and hopefully adequate information, especially in the attachments to that letter, to document the safety of the panels.
If I do recall, we were talking about the difference between a PFAS panel and then a free PFAS panels. Are the free versions the ones you're getting, or?
Yes, so the question had been raised is, I think, if I recall correctly, is there PFAS in the panels? And our answer is no, there is not PFAS in the panels. So we were never considering a PFAS version of a panel. I think there was a concern that there could be PFAS in the panels, and there is not PFAS in the panels that would be used on this project.
And the only, I guess, evidence of that is just your word, or is there specifications of solar panels that you are using that will include an outline that they are PFAS free?
So I think we did discuss that at the last meeting, and I believe that we were amenable to a condition relating to PFAS-free, and I think we could certainly provide a spec sheet,
Yep.
you know, once the final panels are selected.
I would definitely like to see that. I have
The
no further
condition, is that-
questions. I mean, the specs of the panels themselves.
Yeah, so the panels probably won't be fully selected at present because the technology changes, so we could certainly have a condition to provide the final panel selection with a, you know, the spec information to confirm that there's no PFAS and a condition for no PFAS.
Okay, so at what point would we know what's in those panels? At the time of what you guys are proposing all of this in? I mean, I would think it's better to have all the information out front before we'd even consider putting in panels.
Have we provided any spec sheets already, you think?
I think the spec sheets might have been in the planning board application because that's typically goes with their requirements. So, you know, spec information was provided to the town. The panels will likely be very similar to the spec information that was provided. That's sort of a typical approach. But in all of the solar projects I've worked on, the actual materials aren't selected because I don't know how far we're away from actual construction, but things are going to change. So if we told you we're going to use this model solar panel in 3 years or whenever it goes to construction, it might not be that model solar panel. So typically we provide a standard spec so that there's a sense of it. We're happy to have a condition and confirm PFAS-free. And then if you'd also like to see the specs before construction, that can be a condition as well.
Okay, because I would be very concerned about those panels containing that. No further questions.
Michael?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Kwame?
So the battery storage, I mean, this is probably out of our jurisdiction, but the battery storage is going to be in some kind of container units. Normally, that's what I see on other solar projects. Could you, maybe not everybody knows, but could you explain how those battery storage units are? Like, what are the container units? Are they like metal, steel? I don't, you know.
Sure. Yep, we can address that, Eric. I'll probably punt that over to you if that's okay. And you are correct, we did cite the battery energy storage outside of the buffer zone, but are happy to give some additional narrative about what those storage containers and the fire suppression and everything looks like.
Yep. So they're modular containers. You're right in describing them. They look essentially like a shipping container. It's a steel structure. There's multiple layers of modularization within each battery storage unit. So, you know, you have cells within modules within the actual form factor itself. And those are mounted usually on piers or a pad. And they are, because they're modular, depending on the system size, you'd have one, two, or multiple of those modules.
And is there multiple batteries inside those units?
The whole thing is a battery.
The whole thing is a battery?
The whole thing is considered the battery.
I gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, so because they're modular, depending on the system size you're looking for, you can kind of just stack them, you know, like Legos like that.
I gotcha. Well, thank you.
Paula Jean?
Yes, I just want to follow up on Joe Still's question there. So make sure I'm clear on this. My understanding is that when you purchase the solar panels, prior to purchase at that time, you will know if these panels are certified as PFAS-free. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think what we had pointed out was we can sign up for a condition now saying that we will provide identification for the panel and that it will be PFAS-free.
And may I ask, who certifies that it's PFAS-free? Is that the manufacturer who's selling them to you? Or is there some testing authority or some standard in the industry that measures and determines if they're free of these chemicals? How do you know?
That's a good question. I don't know if you have the answer to that one.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it would need to be the manufacturer and their spec sheet. I don't know that there would be I don't know if there's a way to test for PFAS after the fact. As with, you know, any materials that you buy, you're relying on the manufacturer's information.
So you will just have to trust their word that the folks who are selling them to you that, oh, these are fine. That's it.
The buyers.
Like who you buy the panels from and their reputability.
Sure.
So if the buyers tell the manufacturer it must be this condition, they are required to build or provide as required in the contract?
Correct, and I would say, my understanding is solar panels don't contain PFAS as a general rule. So I don't think it's that there are, you know, that you have to, that they're looking to trick you, that there's PFAS in the panels.
Well, it just seems that there's been tremendous evidence that solar panels, and that's a generalization, but the solar panels contain and leach PFAS, and that's been factually, it's a fact, and it's been proven.
Probably old ones.
I just want to know how.
I do think there were
what
old-
guarantees are there that, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. If I may also, I do think likely old ones with that aftermarket as well, but I also, I'm not sure what reports or studies that PFAS information is coming from, so it's a little challenging to respond to.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Greg Sampson with Sullivan and Worcester. I'm the attorney for the project. As part of our February 11th letter in response, one of the things we did include was some of the materials that showed that there are not harmful materials in the panels. And we noted that one of the studies that was actually presented at the February 5th meeting by a citizen cited to a report that actually confirmed our position that the research has shown that these are not a leaching source of hazardous materials. Again, with any product that the commission approves, whether it's construction materials for a new house, commercial, pavement that goes on a parking lot, there's a recognition that you're putting materials in the ground whether it's a transformer that goes in the ground, anything like this. So we've provided generic panel information that demonstrates these aren't a concern. We can provide updated information at the time of construction that verifies this. And I do recognize there's been a lot of misinformation put out there about this issue and contamination associated with the panels. We've tried to present a lot of materials with our application, the original notice of intent, the supplemental information that shows that that's not the case. And studies, yes, any building material over 10 years old probably had a risk of PFAS. It was everywhere. Every fire suppressant system going back in the 70s and 80s was PFAS based. So the reality is current technology is not going to permit this. No one wants the liability of bringing this into a new site and introducing it to the ground. So from the project developer's perspective, we want to ensure that that's not the case, that we're not bringing in a new source of contamination. We'll get the verifications we need from the manufacturer in the form of product data safety sheets and manufacturer information, and we're happy to share that with the commission.
Okay, thank you. Just like the firemen are dealing with old equipment that has that in it, too. Okay. You want to comment, and who you are?
Dean Smith with New Leaf Energy. I was going to say practically the same thing that Greg just has. In my experience in the last few years, there are no PFAS materials used in the manufacture of the modules themselves. In the past, there was an aftermarket coating that did contain it. Those manufacturers have moved away from PFAS at this point as well. So, we're happy to agree to the conditions that have been discussed here.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Paula Jean?
No, thank you.
Scott, I remembered.
Thank you. We're on two commissions together, so,
Yeah, we're sewer together, so.
We're also sewer commissioners. So you might recall that my questions last time were about the hydrological study and the modeling that was done, and you were going to come and explain the Hantush model and its limitations, how it was applied, and whether its limitations would be applicable into this situation or not.
Yes, so I can, we did address that in the letter as well. I am not prepared to give a primer on the Hantush method, as I'm not an engineer.
Fair enough.
But I will say that it is the industry standard for modeling groundwater mounding. The Stormwater Management Handbook indicates that the Hantush or other equivalent method may be used to conduct the mounding analysis. And the intent of that groundwater modeling, and if I'm being candid, which I always am with a commission, which I learned, is when I was talking to our engineers about that, is to confirm that the groundwater mound won't enter the bottom of a basin, therefore decreasing its capacity. So, you know, it utilizes site-specific data, including soils information, existing groundwater levels, which would have been based on our test pits, design information, basin dimensions, volume of water to be infiltrated, the rate of infiltration, and the amount of time to infiltrate to then come up with that mounding analysis.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is because there's been quite a bit of public concern about the movement of water through the system into the public drinking supply. And so I just wanted to make sure that we're all clear that the correct models were used,
Yes.
and that there doesn't appear to be at this point any danger of contamination from either the battery storage site, the panels, or any other materials.
Yes, that's correct for, you know, multiple reasons in terms of the safety information that we provided, but then also the appropriate groundwater mounding analysis was conducted. The peer reviewer did not have any comments with regard to that. And the point that I had found interesting was I had assumed that groundwater mounding was related to a contamination concern, and it isn't. It's to make sure that you have enough capacity in your basin. But yes, that was all done per the requirements.
Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience would like to comment on this project? Anybody online that would like to comment on this project?
I have one.
Please let them in.
Hello?
Yes, please identify yourself.
Yes, my name is Mark Kacholfi. That's CACCIOLFI, and I'm in a residence on off of Maple Springs Road. I bought that property out there, and I have a big interest in this. What I'd like to say, a couple things, if I can, real quick, is I oppose this project on wetlands in this area, and I'd like the commission to take in consideration some precedent that the town of Wareham already has taken, as attributed to Ethan Hunt in a Wareham Week letter dated February 22nd, 2025, where the planning board has already rejected 2 or 3 times permits for solar energy, especially the large state-initiated large product solar, that because they said it right online that worldwide there's been 15 fires associated with batteries on this. There was other things, and I mean, it's like Groundhog Day. These companies are coming in trying to find a commission that will give them the plans and move it. One of them being New Leaf, who, by the way, is suing the town of Wareham now, so they're going to benefit by getting a contract from us as well as suing us because they didn't get to what they wanted the first time they tried this.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to ask you to please focus on Conservation Commission items we can handle, we can carry. We don't do planning. So your comments, please, to the wetlands.
Okay, so the wetlands, one of the things I was talking about in that same article was talking about the wetlands, how the planning board, I have to say the planning board because the article references them. It's still part of the same town and the same concept of what a town is looking at when it comes to the concerns. The contaminated water could leach into the Wareham's drink water. They're trying to explain why that with the PFAS. They're also, the Electric Power Resource Institute said that the battery energy storage systems, like the ones that were proposed for this, has caused 15 fires worldwide. Obviously, fires in a conservation land like that. One of the committee members talked about tearing down trees and habitat. Well, that's exactly what this is going to do, where they're going to clear out the area. We have deer out here. I see deer all the time, wild turkeys. These small swatches of property that are in and around the bogs are their natural habitat. We're taking more, we want to take more and more away from that. They don't sit out on the bogs or walk through the bogs just to do that, maybe to grab some cranberries during cranberry season, but they live in those areas. That includes skunks, fox, everything like that, are all living in that area. I think Jason mentioned anything that is built in the air affects what's in the ground on an earlier statement on a different project. Well, you put these things up in the air, you put them above the ground, that affects it, everything goes down underneath. And this is too close to our water systems and too close to our ecological systems that you have to have a lot of concern. I know it has to stick with that, but this town has to look at other options in these, and as far as solar panels. Another article in the Wareham Week talked about dried out bogs that have been abandoned for years and years, are empty. There's nothing there. They want to turn it into, parks or walkways. Why can't these people go to look at that? There's no water.
Okay.
There's no longer a waterway.
Would you like to wrap up, please?
Yes, I just want to say how much I'm opposed to this, that it's a money grab for them and as well as the landowners, the commercial landowners, and they're not putting into consideration of the habitats that live in and around and utilize those areas that need those trees, need the underbrush, need the rocks where they use for their homes and dens and stuff like that, so they can stay populated in that area.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Is there anybody else online?
Someone in the audience, live audience.
Okay, you please come up and identify yourself, and gentlemen, can one of you, thank you, Greg. And identify yourself, please, again.
Faith Berry, and thank you for being so kind to me, and I appreciate your staff helping me when I had some questions. I do have a concern about this project because the area is not landlocked, contained. There's a lot of ponds and canals that run through the ponds and pumps that pump the water from the cranberry bogs to the lake and from the lake to the cranberry bogs. So this is not going to be a project that does not affect our water. So that is a concern. When we're looking at hydrological studies, did we consider that? The water from the lake comes into this cranberry bog and it goes back from the bog into the lake. So anything that's done out in this area is really going to affect Agua Mill Pond. Now, I live there and I have a 2-story house. So I see there's a bunch of grading being done out there already. And there was like a big wind and there was dust everywhere. My concern that I addressed also was sediment from this project that's going to get into the lake. So and how it will affect our groundwater as well. So to me, I still have a concern. And also because they're not telling us what kind of panels they're using. We have no way of knowing for certain that those are going to be PFAS-free. And I did quote some studies that showed, and if you look online, 80% of solar panels do have some sort of PFAS in them. So there 20% of them are PFAS-free. So I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And for the record, we did ask Andrew Cunningham from the Wareham Water District to comment on it, and he did send an email on February 7th, and I'm just going to take, sorry. Go away, go away, go away, go away, go away. Sorry. All right, better go away. Husband. We asked him, and I do not see any potential negative impact to the district's water supply by this project. Although there is a clear evidence that deforestation negatively impacts the environment, this proposed location is not an area that would have any effect on the district's water supply sources. Just because people are asking, are we going to be impacting the water? So we asked the water commissioner, is that his title? Whatever we asked, and this was his
I
response.
think Andrews is the water superintendent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did ask. Is there anybody else that want to comment on this? If not,
I have a suggestion. So the document that we were given that it contains the water report is about, I can't remember exactly, 360-something pages long. That's the entire...
Stormwater report.
Yeah, the whole, I mean, it's long. And it's a bit much to ask the public to work through that. Is it possible to provide an executive summary of that report, without all the raw data and everything, so we can post that so the public can see how the study was done and what its main conclusions are.
Sure. So there is in the start of the stormwater report a kind of summary section that reviews existing and proposed conditions and has a table that documents how we're meeting the required peak runoff rates. So that stormwater report is quite lengthy, as you know, because it is required by the state to include all sorts of hydrologic modeling and, mounding analyses and other calculations to confirm that the stormwater report works. I would note that your peer reviewer did review the stormwater report and didn't have comments that resulted in any changes. So presumably they would have done a very thorough review, because certainly, I wouldn't be able to read a full stormwater report as a non-engineer and understand every nuance of it, so understood that the public may not. But there is that information at the start of the stormwater report.
But it's buried, it's PDF, isn't it? The report is, the whole
We
report's
submitted, we submitted a PDF as required and hard copies as required. to the
Okay, so
commission.
can we somehow?
And I can
extract an executive summary that we can post? Is it easy for the public to see these things? They don't have to see all the raw data, but.
Right. I can also, we can do that. I can also grab the stormwater report and just kind of summarize it at this hearing, if that's helpful as well.
I think posting it on the website is a good idea, if it's okay with the chair.
But in terms of the public's concern about they're two somewhat different and unrelated things. The water supply concerns, I think, are addressed by the Wareham Water District, and hopefully the safety information that we submitted and that even some of the residents had submitted, documenting no PFAS. The stormwater is runoff rates and water quality for the project, so it's.
Right, but they're related. I mean, stormwater, some of it becomes part of the water supply.
Yes.
Is there a particular concern about the stormwater specifically, though? Just kind of going back to what Stacy mentioned, that, the peer reviewer reviewing that report and effectively concurring with it.
So ultimately, we're all responsible to the citizens of the town. And there's a lot of concern about this and other projects as well affecting the groundwater quality. So it behooves us to, where we can, provide information that the public can make their own judgments based on the extensive work that's been done. It shouldn't be that big of a deal.
We can provide an executive summary.
Thanks. And then send it to Josh, and he'll make sure he gets posted.
In a Word document or something that someone could remove and.
It would be a PDF, but it would not be a 300-page PDF.
Something, yeah.
It'll be simple enough that an attorney can understand it.
All right. Nobody else online?
I do have one more.
I see you back there.
another person in the
Who's
back as
online?
well?
I see him. I see her. Who's online?
Marks.
Let them in, please.
Hello?
We
Hello,
have
can you hear
Mark's
me?
iPad, so please identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Amy, last name Tamaguini.
Oh, hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you? My last name is spelled Tamagini, and I just wanted to make a comment. I think we need to consider and implement putting any new solar in our community on buildings and disturbed land rather than cutting down forested areas. Since 2011, 5,000 acres of natural working lands have been destroyed for solar development in Massachusetts, resulting in the emissions of over 500,000 metric tons of carbon, more than the annual emissions of 100,000 passenger cars. Natural ecosystems and farm soils absorb 10% of Massachusetts' greenhouse gas emissions every year. Massachusetts has a net goal of 0 emissions by 2050, but cutting down forests for solar is not sustainable or the solution, as Massachusetts forests are a primary and only means of carbon removal. No other technology exists that can perform this function affordably. Ensuring that native habitats continues this carbon removal service is among our lowest cost strategies for meeting the net zero goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Anybody out in the back, come on down and identify yourself, please.
Hello, my name is Samantha Kachopoulos. I am a homeowner on Maple Springs. Sorry, I'm nervous. I live directly across from the bog. How many acres are you planning to put solar panels on?
I can look and see if I can find
I think
that.
I saw 41,
That
or
sounds
41
right.
clearing.
Close.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many acres will be, how many acres of trees will you be taking down?
Part of the property has already been cleared for agricultural purposes. So I'd say it's probably 50% cleared at this point.
Okay.
It's an approximation.
Sitting through this meeting today, I mean, we heard people talking about taking one tree down that is damaged in their yard, that is literally going to affect their home. And they're being told that they can't, or that they have to put up another tree, or they can't fix the home that they're living in right now because it's a threat to the wetlands. But we're talking about putting this many acres of solar panels in, and it just is mind-boggling to me. I guess it's just more of a rhetorical question than anything, more of a statement. It's just really sad that people can't take care of their own yard and their own home without being told no, or having to come in front of the board and we're looking at putting in tens upon tens of acres of potentially chemically leaching solar panels. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you for your time.
John, anybody else?
Not at this time.
Christine, your recommendation, no, your comments on the project.
There's been a lot of comments on this project. I don't think I can expand on anything anymore.
Are we in position to make a decision tonight, or do you want to continue? I don't know why, what would we be getting if we continued?
I think the commission still has to come to a decision on the no activity zone. Can you elaborate, just refresh the commission on where they need to make a decision?
Sure, let me just
Project.
grab the board.
Because the applicant has requested a reduction in the 50-foot no activity zone in some areas, but it is not less than 30 feet.
50 being a commercial, 30 is why we're looking at 50, because it's a commercial
Correct.
project.
And your bylaw allows for a reduction of the 50 to no less than 30, but there are areas of the site where they've requested. So I just want to make sure the condition.
Stacy, you're going to have to bring that a little closer to us.
Is this better? And I'll point?
It's not going to be great, but.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll point. You'll
point.
And just one clarification by my read of the bylaw. So the commission is allowed for certain types of smaller impact projects to reduce the 50-foot no-touch to 30-foot without a waiver request, without granting a waiver. They can just do that at their discretion. We are requesting a waiver because this site is subject, or this project is subject to the 50-foot no activity zone, and we're requesting a waiver to allow us to do work within that 50-foot zone. This project does not meet those other exemptions that allow you to do that reduction without a waiver, which is why a waiver's requested. So, sorry, I'm out of breath from the
So
ease
what
of
do you want to
pulling.
do in the 50-foot?
So there are two areas that are existing disturbed, very similar to areas that the commission has granted waivers for previously in the 50-foot no-touch for other similar projects. Here, this is a cranberry bog and reservoir area. There's an existing agricultural access road. And then here, there's a dike between cranberry bogs and a reservoir, also existing ag road. So there is some work proposed within these two areas that are highlighted in yellow. They're very narrow, and there are pictures on, and this exhibit was submitted with the materials to the commission as well. But there are pictures showing kind of that there's really no vegetation in the disturbed area. It's an existing road, and, you know, therefore we're requesting the waiver.
Are these roads within the 30-foot, outside the 30-foot, or within the 50?
The red line is the 30-foot. So there, let's see, on this one, it looks like we're just skirting, like just outside the 30-foot.
But you're giving us nothing that you don't already have. I mean, there's a road there, right?
There's a road, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's-
all of the work is within existing disturbed
Okay.
road areas at these two locations. This one is within, this one actually might also be just outside the 30-foot, but even if it's within the 30, it's existing
So
roads.
what do you plan to do to expand, what do you plan to do with those two sites that you don't already accommodate? Am I asking the right question? What-
The work would be electrical trenching within the
Right.
road.
Oh, okay, so
Just have to lay
it's a
ground.
requirement in order to,
Correct.
so we're not clearing trees or anything like that? It's already disturbed?
Yes.
Trenching
Okay.
on existing roads.
It's,
Yeah.
the outcome of the project will look exactly like the existing conditions, except there'll be an electric conduit in the ground.
Right. You know, in other areas, you can see where the arrays are, we pulled them back to be well outside of the associated no touch, but the interconnection makes much more sense to go along the road in an existing disturbed area.
And I would agree with that summation, I just wanted to get it on the record, just because it is a variation from the bylaw. But, and another point I would like to make about the property itself. Land and agricultural use has certain exemptions under the Wetlands Protection Act. Some of those exemptions include the removal of trees, I'll say the movement of sedimentation of existing sand pits. But the agricultural exemption is basically a 50-foot wide, or sorry, a 100-foot wide exemption. So where they've removed trees within the 100-foot to a resource area, they're actually under an exemption under the Wetlands Protection Act. Just, there's been comments about tree removal, and they've been doing those activities under an agricultural exemption.
So my note from 436 acres is the total size of this project. Is that from my notes in the past?
That's the sorry.
For the total land?
That's the total property area, yep.
And 41 acres is the size of the arrays?
That's the limit of work, is 41.7 acres.
Now, how much acres of trees must be cleared to accommodate the 41 acres of panels?
I don't know if we have that exact number, so it would be a little bit less than, so it's 33.6 acres of panels. It's a 33.6 acre fenced area. The full limit of work, including interconnection, is 41.7 acres. So that includes areas that are not currently treed. Your question is how much tree clearing is happening to accommodate
panels.
It's something between 33 and 41 acres, if that's, because it would say the minimum of the fenced area plus a little bit
A little
of
bit
tree
more
clearing.
because you don't want to shade the
Yep.
the panels.
Exactly.
So of the 436 acres, they're looking at 40-ish. I mean, it's a big land, and a lot of it's already cleared because they're bogs.
Yes.
It's just too bad that the panels have to go where the trees are. But that's just the way it is. All right.
Is it possible to take some of those existing bogs and plant them with trees?
The bogs are actively farmed by the landowner.
I'm just asking the question. We all know what the price of cranberries is now, and a lot of guys are giving up on that. And I was just wondering if it was a possibility that they would sacrifice a couple of bogs to plant some trees.
I can't speak for the landowner.
Commercial decision of
yeah.
the landowner. Yeah, they're actively farming them.
And just to be clear, when they mentioned the work that's being done under the agricultural, that is the landowner. Until a project is approved and is ready to proceed, this remains under the landowner's control, and only at the point where we have approvals to build something can we go out there and say, okay, we're gonna take over these areas, you know, stop your agricultural practices. So I just want to be clear that there are current operations that continue that we don't have any control over, so I don't want it to be seen as we're doing that work.
Is there any additional information that we could receive that would ask us to continue this hearing?
What about the executive summary that Scott requested? We're waiting for that.
Well,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what questions that the commission would want answered before you come to a conclusion. One of those, which I believe was answered by the water superintendent, was the hydrologic flow of the area, which he asserted, I think it runs southerly, northerly, so from the south to the north.
I believe it's
No.
north
Northerly
to
to
south,
south.
yeah.
Southwest, yeah.
I only remember because we had actually done our analysis to respond to the commission, and then after we finished it, the Wareham superintendent's letter came out, and so then we added his information in as well, but it did confirm what we had found. So from the north towards to the south.
You're correct, northerly to the south flow pattern.
so the question is, will a summary of that, what was it, stormwater? Scott, was that what you were looking for?
Just the whole water
Drainage.
study, but shrink it down from 200 and whatever page, to 200 and something pages just for the water, the hydrological study, just down to one page, bullet points, just addressing the main points. Did I muddy the waters, so to speak?
I mean, do any of you would like to continue that, waiting for that summary to be available? Would that make a change in your decision of hit?
I'm not asking for it to continue. I think that the public needs to have that information in a readable form. The information is already there for anyone who really wants to dig.
Okay.
So I wouldn't suggest continuance waiting for that.
All right, so again, is there any additional information that has been asked for that we don't have in order to close this hearing? Comments? I'll start with Joseph. We have a condition that we must have a certification that the panels are PFAS-free, and that we have the specifications at the time that the panels are decided upon, because we are several years out as to what panels would be available. Michael, I'm Joseph, anything else? I'm trying to think, do we close our hearing and vote, or do we continue? If we continue, what are we continuing for?
If the question is any new information that would change termination of the vote, I would have to say no. There's no new information that would affect
I haven't,
at least my decision. I'm not sure the rest of the committee here, but
okay. Michael,
I agree with Joseph, nothing that would change my vote.
Autumn. Kwame,
No.
Paula Jean,
I know, I think I know my vote. Thank you.
Scott, you don't have a vote, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
No, I think I've got everything I need to not vote.
All right. Scott is an associate, and he's not.
Thank goodness.
Okay. No, but we've heard from everybody online, we've heard it from anybody in the audience. Anything else? I'm going to, I think we're ready to close the hearing.
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Joseph, to close the hearing.
to close the hearing, this
Yes.
isn't approval of the project?
And close the hearing.
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean?
Aye.
Sandy, the hearing is closed. Now, I'm not sure how we do the only condition I've heard is the confirmation that the panels will be PFAS-free, and we get a set of specifications at the time the panels are chosen. And that we ask for a summary of the, what, again?
Water stuff.
Water stuff, made available for the public to read as opposed to going through the 300 pages. So, should we put any other conditions?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, recognize that we are doing work within 50 foot.
Yep, I would also want to change the verbiage of how you just phrased that. You said when the panels are chosen, technically they could be chosen tomorrow, but, you know,
Okay,
so
instead of using the
maybe,
word chosen, what would you recommend?
yeah,
Selected?
maybe, no, I think purchased may be a better alternative, or, delivered to the site.
Yeah, I like that.
Amy? Oh, Paula Jean, sorry.
Would quoted be in the event that they don't meet spec?
Oh, how about the time the order is placed, the contract? The time of contract?
That would make more sense.
Prior to delivery.
Or prior to construction?
Yeah, prior to delivery, before they cross the Wareham border.
At time of construction, yeah.
Prior to start of construction. That if we find that that does not meet our specification of being PFAS-free, PFAS-free, we can stop construction.
Okay, that makes sense. I would also add, refueling of vehicles should be done in, out of any jurisdictional area. And, there are certain conditions that will be captured in their stormwater, report and analysis, the SWIP. But I think one thing that we always run into is an issue with long-term projects, which is erosion controls. So I would say something along the lines of weekly or bi-weekly inspection of the erosion controls and them being replaced as necessary.
Review of erosion control twice a month? Or weekly and repaired as needed?
Yeah, so the SWIP actually has language for the monitoring of them as well. I think it has a threshold for certain size storms. So you're kind of getting a bi-monthly and then whenever there's a bad storm. So
Less bad storm.
yeah, well.
Who does the inspection?
Usually you designate a stormwater,
A monitor.
A
It can, sometimes it's the contractor, sometimes it's an engineering firm, but whoever it is has to go through the training and, you know what they're looking for. I was just gonna say, so the NIPD's SWIP that you mentioned requires, and perhaps this is what you were saying, I think it requires every so many days inspection plus storms of a certain size.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think I think it's a minimum of every 14 days.
It's a minimum of every 14
Yeah.
days. And it's all subject to approval under the NPDES program. So project will have to have a discharge permit under that program.
I'm having a tough time consolidating this.
I think it's covered, it would be covered by the NIPD's, but if you wanted your own condition, it sounded like.
Covered by the, you said an acronym.
National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System.
Wait a minute. Natural pollution,
Discharge
elimination,
Elimination System, and then I'm not quite done, Construction General Permit.
construction, general P.
And so that would require monitoring, I think it's every 14 days, and then after certain storm events, which is, I think it sounded similar to what the commission was considering in terms of twice a month monitoring.
Well, I'm going to be interested in this order of conditions, and thank you for the person doing the minutes. Who wants to take a shot at it, or should we just say, summarize what we've just said? We need to formalize the order of conditions.
So what I would suggest is, why don't I draft an order of conditions? I will give it to the commission and the applicant to review, and then you can take a vote on it at your next hearing.
Then I would recommend a continuancing until 4/2, so that we can review a order of conditions prepared by our land use coordinator. I haven't, Josh?
The guy in the office, you got it.
Yeah.
And I think, Madam Chair, if I may, I don't know how it works, if it's a continuance or not, since the hearing is closed, or if it's just that we're scheduled for the next meeting to,
No, the hearing is closed, so
Okay,
no
got
more
it.
information can be
Got it.
taken. So what we are is we will have this on the agenda for 4/2 to review the order of conditions for voting.
Okay,
Because we have
perfect.
not made a decision on the project yet. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay.
all right, excellent, thank you.
Could we put that at the head of the agenda? Just a question, just a request.
We like it.
Well, we'll see Christine, you hear we'll put it's not a continuance, it is a vote on the order.
A meeting.
It would be a
Continuance?
continuance. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't take a new public comment, but
No new, but we are continuing, the
You
hearing has been
right.
closed, but we are continuing the what's the?
Right. You're not taking in any new information from the public, but you have not issued a permit either.
Permit. So we're continuing to allow us time to review the order of conditions for a discussion and vote on a permit. Discussion and vote on permit, that's what has to go on the agenda. Okay,
I motion to continue until 4/2.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Joseph, Michael, Autumn.
Aye.
I thought you were saying my whole name. I'm just asking, this is a continuance for the
We are, because we have.
discussion and decision of
Yes,
the permit.
only on discussion and decision on the permit, because we have
After we all
no
get
more public comment.
We get our eyes on it. Okay, yes,
Joseph,
aye to that.
Michael,
Aye.
Autumn.
Aye.
Kwame.
Yes.
Paula Jean, Sandy.
Yes.
Thank you, and remember, the clock's wrong.
Thank you very much, have a good
Thank you,
night.
appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Good night.
But it was sunny when Paula Jean joined.
Okay. Next one is 7 Knobscot Way, finally.
Oh, these poor people. I'm waiting for the last one.
All right.
Hello.
And who has returned to us?
Gretchen Pine?
Warren Pine.
All right. We were here looking for a continuance, looking for a staking of the boundary between your land and your neighbors to the north. Right?
No, it was,
Beach nourishment.
Well, I know it's beach nourishment. Well, we continued it because Scott had asked that it be staked.
Scott, no, that's not my memory of it.
Oh.
It was Diane had brought up that I made a mistake on the abutter notification. And you
That's
said I
what it,
cannot
that's
take a vote.
what it was. That's,
with,
because
Joe,
it's,
so technically, but we did it anyway.
So not only do I get ignored, I get blamed.
Well, you did actually request that they stake out like the property line.
Yeah, that was a
Just to help to see where everything was, yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're right.
Because there are cement pillars
Yeah.
there that Jim Sennett had put in, so that was easy enough to do for anybody that's interested, but the new notification
That's
did go
right.
out.
It went out with the wrong volume of soil, of sand. It went out with a notice, RDA, and it should have been a request for notice of intent. Now I remember.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
Technicality, sorry.
And do we have new green cards?
Yep, I just showed them.
Okay, so you can give them to Christine. So our butters have been notified with the correct request for notice of intent. Is there anybody online?
No one has raised their hand at this time.
Okay.
Oh, I do have one.
I expect to be Diane. Let her in, please. I think. Oh, there she is, Diane Blondin. Thank you. Diane, your comments, please.
Well, I have a couple of comments. The notice to the abutters, the address for it is listed as lot 205, which is Warren's lot. but it does not mention the right-of-way. I have other comments on this too, if you want to hear them all now or wait till later.
Well, go for it.
Okay. I wanted to ask what type of oversight would be in this situation? Like, would there be site visits after each application of sand? I have concerns that a blanket permit over a 3-year period without review or oversight has the potential to be problematic. Would 20 yards of sand per year be dumped all at once or spread out over the course of a year? And finally, how many truckloads of sand are we talking about for 20 yards?
Okay. Warren, can you answer the questions?
The 20 yards would be applied at the beginning of the season, and it depends on the size of the truck. 2 years ago, it took 3 trucks, I think.
Big trucks?
To do 12. No, they're 6-wheeler. It's the smallest one with a dump.
They can get in and out of that road easily?
Yeah.
Diane, does that answer your question?
It does on the trucks. What about the oversight from a committee member after the dumping? I mean, does this just 3 years go by and we just assume that this is done correctly?
Well, we could very well condition that Warren notifies the Conservation Commission agent that the work has been done and she can go out and view it.
Yeah.
We can put that in the condition every year.
And I've always invited them to come
Does that,
and observe.
Diane, does that help you?
Yes, yes, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Review after spreading by Christine. Warren to notify. Anything else?
Not from me.
All right, on the board, I'm going around. Joseph?
No questions.
Okay. Michael?
No questions, Madam Chair, thank you.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Kwame?
No questions, thank you.
Paula Jean?
No questions, thank you.
Scott?
I'd just like to have a stipulation that no more than 20 yards in any calendar year. 'Cause it just says 60 yards.
20 yards per year, no more.
No more than 20 yards per calendar year.
Got it.
All right. One more, please let him in. David, your comments, please. David Steinberg, your comments, please.
It's actually Heather Grove.
Oh.
Just his computer.
Okay.
So the notice that went out talked about doing Warren's lot of land, but what he has staked out includes half of the right-of-way.
And your concern?
That's not what was stipulated. That isn't what was asked for.
What did we ask for? Property line?
Property line, so if the property line runs right down the middle of the right-of-way, that would
Yeah.
be correct.
But it doesn't. The right-of-way is a 40-foot right-of-way.
It's a
So he
paper
did not
street.
mark what I would call his property line, he marked the middle of the right-of-way.
Well, if it's a paper street, both owners own halfway to the middle of the paper street.
I believe it's a right-of-way for the subdivision, a private right-of-way for the subdivision.
Well, it's a right, if it's a paper road, we put the stake down the middle of the paper road. And, okay, I thought it was a paper road.
I believe that, my understanding was it's a private right-of-way for the subdivision.
Does it make a difference for this project as to where the soil, because he's going to put the sand on his property?
And the right-of-way.
Half of the right-of-way? Half of
Right.
the right-of-way. So there will be disconnect between the sand-filled and the non-sand-filled.
Right.
I mean, I don't want it to become trippable or anything like that, but
It won't be because her, her half is mostly covered by seawall, is 90% covered by overrun or the seawall revetment. And then
That's not a true
the-
statement.
wait a minute.
Or whatever the percentage is, it overruns by quite a bit. And then the sand on that side is a bit higher. So, I mean, we're only talking about over this run, you know, inches, like I think last time, 2 years ago, it was like 6 inches. And we put as much as we could up against the bank also. And I think it's really done its job to save the bank from eroding. The other option is, that some people have told me, is do nothing and let it all go away.
All right. Thus, the question was whether or not it's a right-of-way or a paper road.
I may comment if.
Yes, please.
If it's a right-of-way for the neighborhood, Heather has planted many things on that right-of-way, obstructing so many people going down there with gardens and gravel and plants, and kept people off. Our side of the right-of-way is open to our neighborhood for anyone that wants to go down and see the beach. We choose it to stay open for our neighbors. It is a memorial garden for our daughter, and it means a lot to us, this land, and we've been bullied for 35 years.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you.
If the question is whether it's a right-of-way or a paper road, that would really depend on a deed. If there's a deed that has deeded access over a right-of-way, then that would be identified in homeowners' deeds. If it's a paper road, which looks more plausible just because a lot of the GIS maps identify it as a road, similar to any other road on the GIS maps, I would say it's probably more likely a paper road.
Heather was concerned about the placement of the stakes.
Placement of stakes. Okay, and what, they were within the paper road?
Within the right-of-way.
Yep.
And it was my understanding, if it's a paper road, both landowners own halfway to the middle of a paper road.
That's correct.
Yes.
And there's probably some language in that, I mean, now you're talking about, ancient ways and things like that. And there's probably some language about restricting access of those. I think the easiest way to move forward with this would be to condition the project on the property. Leave it out of any right-of-way or paper road.
All right. Anybody else? We've gone around with our questions. We're looking at conditions of 2 yards, maximum of 2 yards per calendar year.
20 yards.
20, what I have 20 yards.
It's just a decimal point.
Oh, yeah, 20.
Is taxes getting to you?
The conservation agent will go out and review the result of spreading of the yard. Warren is to notify her when it has been done. And what was the third one? About the,
Conditioning the nourishment to be located outside of the right-of-way.
I'm not sure what you mean, so won't be permitted to do that half of the right-of-way that abuts my property?
Yeah.
If that's what you want, or I can throw it all together. I'm kind of...
No, I would say that you still have quite a bit of land before you hit the right-of-way. Is that accurate?
No.
No.
It's
It's a small little beach.
Well, the reason why I even went down this road is because Jim sent it. He grew up there, and he was off in the military for a longest time and came back, and he wanted to, he's used that piece forever. And I consider it a paper street that everybody has access to, and we've always kept it open for that. And Jim, you know, he doesn't, he kind of like catty corner touches in the middle of Nobska, but not down on the beach. And he wanted to, ask if I would, you know, continue or do the beach nourishment to the halfway point. So, I mean, because you know, for years, I had done just my section. So that came up, and that's why we're at this juncture with all of these questions.
So at the last meeting, there was an agreement from the neighbor to the north, I'm sorry, I easily forget names, agreement that as long as the sand didn't cover over the beach grass that's planted there, it would be fine.
Right.
So whatever stipulation that is, that's what I'd like to hold both of these neighbors to.
Okay.
Sorry, Madam
No,
Chair.
go.
Is it Heather online?
Yes.
Okay. Heather, the commission has approved beach nourishment projects here in the past, I believe up to 12 yards. Was that the
Yeah.
last amount that we've?
That was the last
we've
time
approved?
in '23.
But that was because of the permit type that I applied for, the maximum was 12.
Okay.
And then this year, I had to go to the next level, which went to Lakeville DEP in Boston, and that allows you to go to 20. And so that's why it's 20. And because of the increased, it's about a third more, that 20 feet of paper street.
Did you, were you able to nourish 12 yards last time?
Yes.
Okay. Heather, was there any covering of vegetation the last time the project was established?
There isn't really any vegetation left on that on the property, on that side, on his property.
No, your side.
Yeah, on your side. Was there any alteration to the vegetation on your side from the last time the project was done?
There's a little spot, shall we say, in the middle that I think some of the sand has covered some of the grass, but I couldn't swear that it was because of that.
Well, 12 yards 2 years ago, we didn't even spread to the halfway point of the paper street.
No, but the movement of the sand
So
is what he's talking about.
I'm wondering if an appropriate way to condition this project would be, I'm trying to think, Hamilton Beach. Hamilton Beach, they've used the wooden fences to protect the vegetation from the movement of siltation. Heather, would you be interested in a condition that says a wooden fence would be placed around the perimeter of the vegetation to prevent the sediments or the sand from covering as an additional protection?
But it would be on her property.
It would be in the right-of-way.
But would it block the right-of-way?
Yes.
Yes.
And the only vegetation is on her property? Well, most of it. There's some weeds.
It's weeds, yeah. And a seawall.
It's not weeds down by the beach, it's dune grass, which is helping to hold the sand in place in that corner.
Yeah, and I understand the concern for it blocking the right-of-way, but it would really be half of the right-of-way. And I think the only
Well, that would be on her property, so she would be responsible for doing that. I'm not doing anything on that half of the right-of-way.
I'm proposing a fence down the center of the right-of-way.
Gotcha.
If the concern is that sedimentation from this project would migrate into the beach grass, a fence running along the right-of-way to prevent that.
But if we put a fence down the middle of the right-of-way, would that prevent people from getting to the beach? Because it won't be wide enough or it would be too hard to navigate since half of it could be vegetated and the other one could be this new sand.
Well, I might add again, you know, she's pretty much covered the other half of her half of the right-of-way, so people cannot walk down it.
So they
can only use our side.
I haven't planted
I'm sorry.
Yes, she has.
Sorry.
So I guess-
Planted or natural planted or whatever it is, but, yeah.
Okay, well, we're not gonna put in a condition to remove the plants.
No,
So
and
that's-
I don't want a condition for a fence.
Okay.
I think that just puts too much restriction in the right-of-way.
How about a condition that the neighbors work together to make the project beneficial for everybody?
That would be wonderful. I've been praying for 35 years.
I mean,
Or we could reduce the amount of sand. We have 12 in the past, and the 12 has not really covered substantial amount of vegetation on the neighbors. 20 is a big increase.
Well, I could say, most of it,
It will all wash away.
be a minimum or a depth on the right-of-way, or just put, more than half of it on the part that
No.
it protects the bank.
When you put the 20 yards on your beach, how deep will that 20 yards be? 6
we
inches
Calculated it at 4 to 6 inches 2 years ago.
for 12 yards?
Yes.
So we're looking at maybe 6 to 8 or something like that, and maybe we say we put no more than 4 inches on the right-of-way and everything else can accommodate the 20 yards. All right? 4 inches of sand on the right-of-way and the rest will be on your property. All right, anything else?
And it can't cover the dune grass.
There'll be nothing on, will not, if the wind does it, I can't do anything about, but I will say it will not be spread on any vegetation.
Thank you.
All right?
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second?
I have a second. All in favor. Joseph?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes, the hearing is closed. Who wants to take a shot of the conditions? Oh, sorry. Christine, your recommendation?
Standard order of conditions with a notification of the work that is done to be checked by the agent. No more than 20 yards per calendar year. No more than 4 inches being placed in the right-of-way, and none being spread on any vegetation.
I think that covers, yes.
Sorry, there is a gully in the right-of-way. The gully, most of the erosion occurs in the gully. Do you only want me to apply 4 inches in a downward slope?
You got it.
Okay.
You got it. So the runoff from the road will continue to erode that, but that's the conditions. I have the 4 points.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor. Joseph?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean? Sandy?
Yes.
Yes, you're done. You have it. See Josh before you start the work. See Christine before you start I'll get it right eventually. See Christine
you so
before you
much.
start the work. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. The next thing is we have certification of compliance request.
For DEP file number 761687, recommend issuance of a certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Josh? Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean? Sandy?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Josh is going to talk to us 67 Jefferson Shore Road, and he's not in handcuffs.
He's not in handcuffs, that's correct. So this was a conversation that you guys dove into pretty deeply at your last hearing. It was a question about 6 plants that were required to be planted along the garage from a previous violation. So there was an order of conditions issued to reconstruct the house with the back patio and to replant the 6 plants along the garage at that time. They actually came back with a certificate of compliance request. At that time, they presented the commission with photos, and I did a site visit, that the plants were planted, the house was constructed, and the patio in the back was reconstructed, and the commission issued a certificate of compliance for that. Prior to the sale of the house, the 6 plants died. They ripped them out and then sold the house to the new homeowner. Technically, there is a violation there because the plants are required to be replanted. I had a conversation with the current arborist that came in front of you guys, who you issued an order of conditions for the work on the coastal bank. He is going to plant 8 shrubs in that location, and we have attached that documentation to the current order of conditions. So if there was concerns about the violation, they are addressing it currently under their order of conditions.
Comfortable?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you'd like to speak to us about?
Don't think so. I think the only thing you guys have left is minutes.
We had two sets of minutes. Corrections have been submitted, and Christine says they have been updated, so I'll take a motion on February 5th, 2025 minutes.
I motion to approve the February 5th, 2025 minutes.
Second.
Okay, we were all here. All in favor?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean? Sandy? Yes. We have minutes of March 5th, 2025. The corrections have been made, correct? Yes. And Michael, you missed that meeting.
Correct, so I'll abstain from this vote.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to approve March 5th minutes.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Joseph? Michael?
Abstain.
Autumn?
Aye.
Kwame?
Yes.
Paula Jean? Sandy? Yes. 501. Anything else, anybody else wants to cover before we say goodnight?
I would like to make a note, if we have any people online, this Saturday, noon time on Dottie Street, we'll be doing a community cleanup of all the trash that's accumulated all over Dottie Street. It's quite unfortunate it's there. Josh let me also know, apparently we had conditioned Eversource to remove some of that debris in the past. Speaking to...
That might be a planning board condition.
Okay. So it's
a-
not us?
Conservation, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not quite our wetland.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
there's a little bit of wetland out there, but I think the condition for,
Along the road.
No, it is further back. There is a drain basin, and there are some wetlands,
Yeah.
probably like 30 feet away from the roadway.
well, regardless, it was a condition of the site plan review under the planning board. Not under.
Thank you,
Invitation is open, though, if anyone's
Okay.
available.
That's
Nice
great.
work.
We have papers to sign. Anything else? Remember, the clock is off.
I motion to adjourn at 8:58 PM.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn, not debatable. Say aye.
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 We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Bye,
Good night,
Paula.
Paula
Take care.
Jean.
Jean, enjoy vacation.
Bye, Chase.
Oh, puppy.
Buenos noches.